Hey, sorry, I'm sitting here talking with Chad on comms, and I'm like, how the fuck do I have 70 people watching all of a sudden? But Rushlock rated, so that explains everything. Thank you, Rushlock. How you doing? Exclamation mark draw for a chance at a VedMax Scope Syndicate skin. As the title suggests, we are recapping this weekend's AT finals, and I'm here to tell you folks, it was a really good final. I'm not going to spoil it all. We're not going to tell you how many matches were in the finals. We're not going to tell you who won. So hopefully, and please respect
And
that in
you're not,
chat.
and you're not going to do it either. You're not going to do it either.
Yeah, please. Alrighty, but yeah, 7 more minutes. Let's get some more folks in here. Like I said, I just fired up the stream. I'm gonna mute back up so me and Chad can finish discussing our game plan for the evening, and then I'll be with you guys shortly. 3.
blah 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 blah,
All right,
talking
y'all
shit
still with
about
us?
the
Everybody
Twitch
still
chat,
awake? Enjoying this fine music?
blah blah blah,
Exclamation mark
talking
draw. You've
shit.
got 1 minute remaining for a chance at a VedMax Scope Syndicate skin. We'll be giving away 3, including this one tonight. We'll give another one at the halfway mark and then one at the end of the recap. So if you miss out on this one, just stick around. You'll get a chance at 2 more.
Yeah, make
Yes,
sure
everybody
you
say
rig
hi to
that for me to
Chad.
win. Make sure you rig
Also-
that for me. Oh shit, they can hear me.
Yeah. Oh crap, you're really loud actually. Fuck, that was really loud.
Bro,
You
it's
probably
the new
just
mic.
blew out their eardrums just a tad. Try talking now.
Dude. Are we any better?
How's Chad's level, guys? Tell me.
A, how's the level? And B, how's the new mic sound?
Yeah, everybody, that mic, I'm jelly. He's got a better microphone than me now. Now he's a little too low.
Oh, come on.
There we go. You should be at the same level as me now.
Chad's good, apparently.
There we go. Let me turn the music down. All right, let's hit this roll button. Who's going to win a VedMax Scope Syndicate? A VedMax Scope Syndicate skin.
Rigged.
Some say it's for the trip, then the destination. Oh, lordy. But again, guys, you're in for a treat today. We've got 9 matches lined up. We've got 3 from yesterday's matches. And then we have several matches from today. I can't say how many exactly because several of them are from the finals. And if I tell you how many there are, that spoils. But we have several matches for you today. Crap, I should have never said numbers. Nobody remember. Arksol, congratulations. You won a VedMax Scope Syndicate skin. Who do I deliver that to? Uh-oh. Is my bot not working? I wonder if my bot's working. Just Arksol? Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Let's see. No, wait. VedMac. We get to the main screen. Oh, please don't mess up on me. Okay, well. There we go. We may not have that. Anyway. VedMac. Arc Soul. In the universe. Around the world.
Alrighty.
There you go. Double check. Make sure that's you. Looks like you. Member of Maverick Freelance Services. Yep, that's your ugly mug. There you go. Enjoy. Again, we'll be giving away 2 more of those tonight, so stay tuned. All right, let me pause the music. We may have J1tah joining us later. If you guys don't remember, he's a player from the team. Shit. It's not Deepwater Hooligans. Fuck, I forgot his team.
Whole control.
Whole control, thank you. I smoke a lot of weed, forgive me, J1tah. But he may be joining us later to help us with the commentary. But we're going to get right to it. First match we have to show you, again, this is from yesterday. Was Arrival versus... I don't remember the chronological... You know what, we're not worried about chronological.
Ninja Assassin Squad esports team.
Yeah. I'm going to go with this one. This is a spicy match for y'all to see. Hold
Just
on.
so you know, you're not showing it on your screen. You're showing your pod.
Yeah. Give me a second. All right, there we go. Let me pause this real fast so we can break it down. This was an elimination match, correct?
This was the upper brackets.
Okay, this was the upper bracket.
Winner goes to play to get to the upper bracket final.
And did we have any flagships on grid?
Yes, we do, actually. We have a flagship, Get a Navy.
So the Get a Navy on Hidden Leaf's side is a flagship, confirmed. All right, and looking at these bans, again, the Execure Navy was a popular choice to ban for very good reasons. It has been a very good filler ship, for lack of a better word, in many comps. It can project range really good. It's pretty stout. You can even fit the fucking thing with shields, apparently, and it will work. You know, despite all logic to the contrary. And then let's see, we're seeing an auger ban from an auger and an osprey. I wonder if that's to force them into to frigate logi, or force them into a T2 to spend a bunch of points, or both.
Probably a mixture.
Mm-hmm. Hard to answer that question without the people here to answer it. It's just kind of speculation there.
I'm a little weirded out by it because, like, I think this tournament T1 Logi has been kind of weak, especially with all of the max threats that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So
I wouldn't say the ENI needs a buff. The Galente theme of this tournament is why it was probably so strong. Being able to take 2 for only 7 points each is a big deal in a lot of comps, but you can still take one of them out and plug in something else rather easily. I imagine auger navies can still fill that role, you know, mid to long range sniper.
They can't fill it as good. I will say, like, I mean, I run the ENI mostly in Fact War now, and it is absolutely.
It just got buffed,
I do think
actually,
I think it's a little much. I think it's a little much. But at the same point, like, there's other ships that have something that's pretty ridiculous about them. Like, if you ever look at the tank of an AUG Navy, that thing is ridiculous. If you look at how quick ONI Osprey Navies go, they have good EHPs still and do a fair amount of damage and projection. I wouldn't say they're broken, but I'd say they have something that's heavy about them. And then there's Minmatar. We don't care about that duct tape.
And then on Hidden Leaf side, we'll finish talking about arrivals. They're getting rid of the Hyena, obviously a real good choice. Hyena is paints and webs, right? Correct, yeah. Because it's the little brother to the Hugin. So if you guys know what a Hugin is, the Hyena is its little brother. Long range webs and paints, and I don't know, paints seem like they're best for missile comps, but I also see like fly killer comps run them, you know, with the ones with long range guns. So it seems like painters are good in that scenario as well.
Yeah, painters.
Or do they even run the paints on the Hyenas in those comps? Is it just for the webs?
Mix. Usually, most of the time, no matter what comp you're running, as long as it has some sort of projection, which is why you'd probably run a Hyena to begin with. You'd want a paint. Missiles makes missiles apply great. If you're running the max threat, you know, max threat's good at applying already, but adding that one painter to per se a frigate just makes it disappear off the grid before they even know what's happening. So webs and paints are always good, so,
especially with
Hyena.
And then they're bringing what looks to be a missile comp, Nighthawk being the T2 Drake. So this AFC got to bring his Drake. Basilisk being the Logi. If you guys don't know, that's the T2 Osprey. Cyclone Fleet and Drake Navy and a Cyclone. I wonder which one's running the Lynx, if not all three.
All three. Actually, the Nighthawk's probably running the bonus Lynx for shield.
Okay.
And the rest are filling the... I'm sure they're running, like, 2 shield on the Nighthawk, the best ones, which is going to be, like, resistance, and they could either choose rep or HP. And then the Drake's probably filling the extra shield, the 3rd shield, and then the Cyclone Fleet's running 2 skirmish.
I tell you what I really love about this comp is that Hound. I think that's an excellent addition because you've got light missiles.
You like all the bombers?
I like bombers in this format. They're really good. Like, look, you've got 2 on the other side. So obviously Hidden Leaf thinks it's a good idea as well. I mean, just having that, you know, that fast mover that punches really hard against bigger targets, you know, in case something goes tragically wrong and you lose a battle cruiser early on, you've still got the Hound to sit there and help deal with the Barghest or the Geddon Navy if it comes down to it.
And that's the other thing is you have to respect the damage it does.
Exactly.
And if you don't respect the damage it does and you leave it there, as long as you have big stuff, you will be punished the later the match gets.
And let's just point out that it's also the perfect bomber for what it's coming up against. It's coming up against an armor comp. So traditionally, with most of the ships you see there, their hull is going to be explosive. So the bomb, it's even better that way. And then the last 2 points being filled with that Skybreaker. Skybreaker is just a really good ship to throw in any comp if you've got 2 points left. We were talking about that the last stream. It doesn't do a whole lot to the enemy ships, but it does clear enemy logistics drones really well. If you got a bunch of light drones going after your Logi, it's good at cleaning those up. And if you don't have drones to shoot at, you're a tackle, And if you die, big fucking woo, you were worth 2 points.
And then on the Hidden Leaf side, we're looking at triple armor battleship, all running rapid lights, so armor Kingslayer setup. They went with double links.
My favorite setup, by the way.
They went with double links.
Kingslayers.
So. And then they went with double Frig Logi. I think that's just how they were running it to begin with, so that's why I was a little shocked with the T1 cruiser bands. But, hey, force them to do what they're doing, I guess, and you feel comfortable. If you're a rival, maybe this is what you wanted to face anyways. And then you got the core for webs and double bombers because they're cheap damage.
Exactly. And for those who may not know, the whole concept of a Kingslayer is that you're synchronizing. Everybody targets the same thing. You synchronize your fire, and that thing dies. Typically, you're aiming for a cruiser logistics ship to be your first kill. In this case, it would be the Basilisk if we were making an educated guess looking into
Basilisk,
the match.
Cyclone, something like that. Sometimes they get rid of a really, really squishy damage ship because they think they could clip through 2 things or kill it through Logi. But you got to remember, most of these things have a little bit longer reload time. So if you don't kill something in your first clip, you have a whole minute in the game wasted without a single kill. So
exactly.
You're on reset in that time period too. So you're not even actually able to kill something for the first minute and a half. That's a big, you got to kill something. So it's very important, you synchronize your clips and pick a good target.
Because you're not switching targets easily. All right, let's go ahead and start this. Let's talk about the bands real quickly. Again, the E&I band, because it's easy. Scimitar, I'm not so sure about. Maybe they just didn't want to see a rush comp, and semis are really good for that. Claymore, I imagine that's something to do with its link bonuses.
Here's what I'm looking at, right, is you got rid of Blackbird, and the Blackbird would ruin the synchronization of those rapid heavies, so that makes very much sense. The E&I, just overall powerful ship. The Scimitar is probably one of the best shield logis for kiting and rushing in general. So that's why it's banned. They just didn't want to see shield, probably. They got rid of Claymore as a secondary missile, and then Loki as well. So they really were trying to put off the we don't want to face shield, brawl, or kite. And Arrival was still able to play around it.
And if you're going to jam us, we're taking the cheap option off the board.
Exactly. Well, at that point, then you're not going to really have any damage to do anything to us. So.
Okay, go ahead and get this started.
Well, let's run it.
Off the bat, we see Arrivals starting to pull some range. Seems like they're moving back towards that MJD beacon.
Yep.
Doesn't look like Hidden Leaf's doing a whole lot of moving.
Hidden Leaf is posturing. They realize they can't overcommit these battleships because rapid heavy battleships are not always the tankiest in the world. They usually throw a little bit more damage and projection on them to make sure you do kill things in your clips. Arrival doesn't want to fall trap to that Hidden Leaf rapid heavies, so they're pulling back so no one's a clear shoot me target. And they're a rush comp, so being on an MJD beacon allows them to fake an MJD, use the MJD, and end up where they want to end up on that grid for where they're at.
And it feels like that's what's about to happen.
And here's the thing is now Hidden Leaf's closing the distance because they don't want to get jumped on. You know what I mean? They don't want anyone in the back getting jumped on, so they're closing the distance a little bit, trying to
especially those purifiers. So there's the MJD play. So now that purifier is in a horrible position. He is where he does not want to be. He's already getting painted. The Hound's getting locked up by a Hidden Leaf. But, and here comes the Bazzy. The Bazzy's getting shot. He's getting neuted. And come on, heal.
It's not, that Bazzy's not going to heal.
She's trying, but that is what the Kingslayer do. that Bazzi is gone, and now the attrition game starts. They paid for it with a Purifier, the one that was out of position when they made the NJD play. But again, these Purifiers are really just extra. They're not the core of the comp. The 3 ships that are killing you are still very much alive, and not a whole lot going on there. Although their Magus is tackled, and that is a very important Lynx ship.
Mind you, also, their Barghest is webbed and getting shot as the main.
In the meantime,
target.
They're going after the Cyclone over here. We've got newts spread between the Cyclone and the Cyclone fleet. Imagine that's to shut off hardeners and possibly prop mods so they can secure those kills. Nighthawk's being webbed. Where is the Nighthawk? Yeah, he's right there in the middle of it, right on top of that Barghest. He's probably the one that's tackling it.
Every time you move your mouse, you cover the bottom 3 guys for the other team.
To turn that off with this.
Yeah, so that Barghest is going down pretty quickly, which means that that's a third of the damage effectively. It's probably more like 25% of the damage off of Hidden Leaf's team. So, plus the Bombers makes it about 33% of the damage off of Hidden Leaf's team right there. And all they've gotten is a Basilisk and a Cyclone just dying, so it's not looking the greatest for Hidden Leaf against a rush comp like this.
Mm-hmm. Now, getting rid of the Basilisk was good, but you didn't need to pay for it with a Barghest.
Yeah, that Barghest was a...
Now, fortunately, it was not the flagship. You know, they have that going for them. They still have their flagship on the grid. That's a very potent ship, and it is looks like it's got all the newts on it.
Well, here's something that I'm going to drop a bombshell on everyone. I talked to Basilisk after this game.
Talia's caught.
Hidden Leaf, Ninja Village, Assassin Squad Esports, that Typhoon fleet issue just burned his guns. He burned his guns on
no.
He burned his guns trying to kill the Cyclone. So right now, the only damage Hidden Leaf actually has is a Navy Geddon.
I mean, they still managed to get the Cyclone down, but now it's that, it's a flagship Geddon, basically, versus the world. He's out of it. He's out of Logi. The support craft are going down. That Magus is not long for this world.
The Typhoon's at least
hold up. I'm going to pause right here. Okay, so talking about... Hold up. Just talking about the Skybreaker. Look, it's the Skybreaker that's got this Magus locked down. Not having to do anything else in the world. Just keep a Magus locked down. That's all you got to do.
But yeah, so you know, at this point in the match, though, you're down a Cyclone fleet. You got a Caracal Navy, Osprey Navy, Drake Navy, and a Nighthawk, all hams. That's a lot of damage, you know.
But it's still a close match. Look at this. I mean, the score is still...
Like I said, though, the score looks good, but, you know, you just burned your guns on that Typhoon fleet issue. I only know that because I talked to the dude.
But a rival doesn't know that necessarily, because look, I mean, right now damage is split. It looks like they're going after the Typhoon fleet, but, you know, they don't necessarily have to at this point if its guns are burnt out.
Well, also, he has drones and newts that are probably very annoying and da-da-da-da-da. But I was talking, like I said, with Basilisk, and he's like, I'm so happy they went for the Typhoon fleet second, because I didn't know, but he burned his guns. And, you know, they're killing the Magus. They're getting rid of that low end of Hidden Leaf and trying to get Lynx off the grid to make life better as they lose their bomber, though.
At this point, Hidden Leaf just trying to get whatever they freaking can. The bomber is a nice squishy target, and he got himself nice and close for them.
They're trying to save their flagship right now. The mentality of, like, we you know, this match, we're winning in points, but, like, we're not in a good position to win. We need to not, you know, we need to get damage off grid, try to help these battleships tank, try to help this flagship tank, and just do the best we can to get as much DPS off this grid. That's why they shot the...
and the rival is losing little pieces of DPS, you know. It's going to come to the point where do they have the damage to even break the Geddon?
Yeah, they're already having issues breaking this Typhoon.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you'd assume, like, hey, Hidden Leaf, you get rid of one more ship, you might be in a good spot here. But if they break this Typhoon, it's going to be a point game, and Hidden Leaf is losing that point game.
I want to see, because what are Hidden Leaf's options at all at this point? So you got the Pawnee and the Armageddon up here with nothing really close to them. You got the Hound over here, and the rest of Arrival is down here sitting on... Are they sitting on an MJD beacon? I can't tell.
No, they're shooting. That's where the Typhoon is.
Okay, so yeah, they're all down here.
Typhoon's down at the bottom of the screen. The Hound's off on its own because it needs to be off on its own. You know, that's what it is. The crew war is trying to web some stuff down for the get-in to just do good damage. The Ponti's staying back, trying to live and give some links to that get-in.
Okay, the drones cleaned up the Hound. So now the drones are coming back down to assist.
Yep.
But the Typhoon's already gone, so nothing to assist. The Curer is a lost cause, not worth trying to save. Ponti needs to just fucking turn around and run and let this Getting Navy do what it do.
Yeah, now they're going for the Nighthawk, which is kind of crazy at first, because usually Nighthawks have a fair amount of tank, but I mean, look how quick he's going down
Just
here to
chunking
the power of these rapids, plus the newts, you know.
Yeah,
newts are
shutting off
hitting
the
his
hardeners.
hardeners, so...
And without that Basilisk to keep him up.
Yeah, but look, that point system right now, I mean, 19 points...
Skybreaker being the hero tackle.
Well, Ghosty, 19-point difference. This Nighthawk's only worth 18. So this Get Navy has to kill more than him without dying or losing his Pontifex in 3 minutes.
Skybreaker going to work killing drones. Yep. Unfortunately, they're more friendly drones than enemy drones. Maybe he shouldn't be shooting.
I mean, it's just he's going to damage the ship.
There
that's
we go.
Getting shot at least, not
now he needs one more point. They need one more point. They've got 2.5 minutes and a flagship left to do it, and he's got the Caracal.
Hidden Leaf needs 1 point, and their Ponti's getting shot. Their flagship's getting shot. You know, it's not looking like it's in a great spot for Hidden Leaf, but it's still more than doable. You just gotta hope that Ponti kites, but you see that Ponti is this thing called scrammed.
Oh, Caracal.
That Caracal's trying to burn for his life, but doesn't look like you're
Too
burning
little, too
quick
late.
enough, bud.
Painted, I mean, there's nowhere he's going. He was painted. He was neuted. If he had an MWD, that wasn't doing him any favors.
He was exploded.
He was boomed. And now it comes down to the wire.
Hidden Leaf's up by 3, but that Ponti's not looking very healthy. And like I said,
he's tackled, he's painted, and they've got enough damage to kill him.
Oh yeah, they still have like their damage bars are a little bit lower than Hidden Leaf's.
This Skybreaker has done so much work. That's 3 different ships it's tackled and secured a kill
and no
for.
one bothered with them, and no one's bothered with them the whole game. That's why they're so good for 2 points. So now we got a rival up by 3. So
with a minute
Hidden
left,
Leaf needs to kill a single ship without dying in 1 minute and 10 seconds.
And he's chosen the Nosprey. Nosprey's running for an MJD beacon. Armageddon Navy right on his ass. Heads up, there's going to be an ad here, but I will pause and fast forward it. Actually, hold up. I'm going to pause right here. Anybody who saw the match, keep your mouth shut. People who didn't see the match, 45 seconds left. What do you think the outcome of this match is?
Put a poll up. Put a poll up.
Hold up. Do a very, very, very quick poll.
Yeah, do a quick poll because...
who wins?
Yeah, who wins? Can Hidden Leaf kill a single ship in 45 seconds with the Osprey pulling away towards an MJD beacon, and can MJD out? Or do they get the kill on the Osprey Navy or another ship?
If you already know, keep your mouth shut. We got 5 votes for Hidden Leaf, 1 vote for Arrival, 2 votes for Arrival.
6 now, 6-2.
"45 seconds. Does the Armageddon Navy, the flagship Armageddon Navy, have enough time to get 1 more kill?"
7-2. It looks like it's going to end at 7-2.
Let's find out if you guys are right.
Well, let's find out who was right here.
Chat favors Hidden Leaf. Let's see who's right. So he's at the MJD beacon. He's aligning in the direction to not go out of the arena. And
He's turning right now. He's turning right now.
And that's where the ad hit. Hold up.
God damn it, Ghosty. I thought you played the ad.
Because you will get an ad after 10 minutes, and this match went to time, so it was 10 minutes.
Boo.
Boom.
Here we go. Look at that. He activated an MJD beacon. He has activated the MJD beacon to get away.
See?
And it didn't go off in time.
Here is something
beacons. MJD beacons, by the way, up your sig radius by like a ton. I don't know the exact number, but it's like multiplier of a ton, like 200 times.
So he was already getting painted, and while honestly I would have done the same damn thing trying to hit the MJD, perhaps it was not the best choice. He only needed to live for 20 seconds, and hitting the MJD lit him up like a freaking Christmas tree and allowed the Geddon Navy to get those last, because it takes 10 seconds to spool that thing, right? Like the MJD.
You're telling me you recorded the ad in your video?
Yeah, I had to, because it was. I don't have a way to splice. It's going to be like that for a couple of these. I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, I wonder if he could have lived had he not hit the MJD, because he only had to live for like 20 seconds. How low was he when he hit it?
Just losing his shields entirely. So
hold up,
you gotta get out of there, kind of thing.
Okay, so yeah, he was just hitting structure with 26 seconds left, but I think that's after he hit the MJD.
So your options are he clips right there and you live through the one shot, and you try to GTFO and hope that you outrun him and live for 30 seconds. I think it's the right move to use the MJD. I'm sure that's a big debate. But you're just hoping he clips.
By the time he hit it, he's out of shields. He's out of shield by the time he hits it. I think he was dead regardless. Because I have to imagine this is when he hit it, because that's when he hit his aligned path right there. And he's already, he's fucking dead. He's dead to rights. Just, oh my God, this match was so back and forth. Really good match. Now, I wonder, just looking back at it, was there any point where Hidden Leaf just screwed up and almost threw it, and and that's why it got so close? Or was there a point where a rival should have made a different play? I'm hard pressed to call any tactical errors here. It seemed like both teams were doing exactly what they had to do.
I have a tactical error to call.
What's that?
Maybe don't burn your rapid heavies on the Typhoon.
Don't burn your rapid heavies on Typhoon. Maybe
don't burn your rapid heavies on the Typhoon.
Yeah, it would have been a much more comfortable win for them, I imagine, if they didn't burn out their guns.
I agree. There would have been a lot less sweating. Now here's what was really funny, right? Basilisk was watching the match. If you watch the actual stream, they cut to a clip of him literally just sitting in front of a freaking big TV, like fingers curled in front of his mouth, shaking, jumping up and down in the last 15 seconds of the match, basically. And he jumped in comms afterwards to me and other commentators, and he's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, how did that win feel? And he's like, dude, little did they know the Typhoon burned his gun, so I'm so glad they shot him second. Like, that was the first thing he said. I was like,
oh, poor rival. Poor rival. They could have just left that one to sit there. He wasn't doing much. Yeah, the next one, again, I'm not sure if this is chronological order for day 3, but yeah, Odin's Call versus Truth Honor Light. Truth Honor Light had a rough year. I don't know what's up with them, but a lot of people were ready to step up to the plate.
And they lost to Barcode early on. Good job, Barcode.
Mm-hmm. Damn good job, Barcode.
In the lower brackets against Odin's Call. This is a repeat of last year's finals. In the lower bracket, and this match decides who gets 8th place, I believe, for the tournament. Mm-hmm. This is the finals. The teams got 1st and 2nd. This is deciding 8th place. Mind you, Truth Honor Light does not have a flagship left, and neither does Odin's Call for this match. they both had no option to field a flagship.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ghosty, do you want to go through the Odin's comp and bans and give
Yeah.
me your opinions?
So again, we're looking at another shield missile comp, double Nighthawk, Cyclone Fleet, Drake Navy with an Onyx. I'm wondering what the Onyx brings to the table, because isn't that that's a hick? So just like a long range scram. Just that's it. Long range scram. Okay.
Good resist profile. Good. Its damage isn't horrible.
Now they opted for the T1 Frig Logi, meaning they probably just didn't have any points and needed 2 more ships.
Well, I mean, they needed Logi and 2 points spent on Logi and a lot of points spent on damage.
I'm trying to think of what they could have given up to upgrade those to T2 Logi. Maybe the Onyx is what they gained for it.
Yeah, I don't think here's the thing, right? They opted for a max damage shield comp here, and they were just like, the Logi doesn't matter as much. We just want to get in there and do damage. And that's one thing. Truth Honor Light never brings a lot of damage to their team, as you see by the difference in the damage bars, which is the second bar down underneath that big blue bar. The one below it is the potential damage that can be dealt. If you compare how big that gray bar is on Odin's, that's the maximum potential damage they're able to do, versus the Truth Honor Light bar. There's a huge difference. Truth Honor Light likes to bring comps that do a lot of E-War, little damage, and just out-execute other teams. Versus Odin's, I think, realizes that's what they do, and just said, we're going to swarm you with so much damage that even if you shut down a couple ships, we'll have so much damage it doesn't matter. So, as we see with Truth Honor Light, they brought a full Newt drone Geddon with a drone EOS for links, a Zarmazad Logi, which is a amazing ship if you know how to fly it. It's hard to do with the one spooling rep, but if you're a good pilot,
and those who may not be familiar with the ship, it is the Triglavian logistics cruiser. So like how Triglavian ships have the single primary beam weapon, it's the same thing for their Logi. They have a beam that heals you, but it can only do one person at a time, and it gets stronger over time. Now, can they also equip traditional remote reps in addition to that, or are they limited?
They're just not as good.
They're just not as good.
Like, the range on them is garbage compared to the other Logi ships. So like you could fit mediums, and it's like you're just spider tanking a regular ship in the game. So you can add them, they just don't get bonused worth of crap. You got a Merm Navy though as well for drones and some extra links. Double Arbitrator for control and some more drones because it's a drone comp. Vexor Navy for some drones and tackle. Confessor, Vengeance for tackle, and another Vexor for more drones and tackle. And utility. I'm sure they're using their slots properly to help their team. So you're going against Max Rush, I believe this is, versus...
Yeah, I did enjoy you and Mark casting together. That was a good combo. Probably the 2 most energetic casters.
Dude, the amount of messages me and him shared after today was great, by the way.
Are you going to get a robe? Guy. Are you going to join him in his robe lounge?
That was discussed. Me and him possibly, no spoilers, agreeing to try to cast together for AG6 and get on the desk, and I'll turn my camera on and be next to him, both of us mocking each other in robes.
Whose robe is more majestic? Okay.
But now let's go. Do you want to hit some bans quickly?
Well, again, we're looking at the Scimitar ban. Hyena, they didn't want to deal with webs and paints at long range from such a little ship. Curse to not... Again, they're going up against Truth Honor Light. They know they like a lot of E-War. Get rid of the Curse to force them into the Arbitrator, which is the weaker of the 2 variants. Plus, if they want to take more than one Arbitrator, like they did here, they're going to enforce a stacking penalty. I'm not sure what the Abaddon ban is for.
That was a weird one. Everyone agreed that just didn't seem to fit with Truth Honor Light very much. It just, I don't know why they did it. It seemed weird. And then you look at Truth Honor Light's bans, they got rid of Prof Navy, which is an attempt to get rid of that max threat kind of setup. Are you
talking about the Octodad? Is that what you mean by max threat?
That is what it is. There's technically, here's the difference, right?
Hey,
Octodad is technically the old style 8 battlecruiser comp back before there was stacking rules. So that is the technicality speaking, that is what Octodad is. The new variation, also known as Max Threat, which is the same concept where you have just 8 medium gunboats. It's interchangeable, but I think most people will call it Max Threat. If you ask them, but Octodad, you could call it that, and someone would probably know what you're saying.
And the Prophecy Navy again is
It's
directed
not a
at that.
key part to it, but it's something that is one of the most excelling ships in that setup, if you ask me. I think they got rid of Bargest because Odin's lost their flag Bargest, and they just don't want to see a Odin's Bargest comp anymore. Osprey, because I think that just says that's the shield logi of choice nowadays. Curse, because control, and then Loki just being an extra band to like push that we don't want to see shield narrative.
All right, well, let's check it out.
Welcome
Let's see
Cheetah to the chat.
Yes, J1tah, how you doing today? Everybody say hi to J1tah.
Also, I think Max Strat, or what was the other term for it? Octodad should be Max Mommy. I think that's the name.
My god. Alright, and here we go. It'll be interesting to see. I like, you know,
Odin's
that
called
Odin's call.
charge.
Yeah, just get in there,
all
do
in
damage.
on the Armageddon right now. Get on the army.
Yeah, and you know, you got Truth on right
Flycatcher.
here.
Oh, yeah.
Just putting their drones out and just trying to pick a target to shoot. And it's just going to be a brawl.
Okay, I thought the Flycatcher Caracal Navy were going to dig back and hit the back line, but now they're looping back around to the arm. Maybe they just overshot him.
Nope. It's a max damage comp. So what I'm sure Odin's wants to do is just top down, pick the biggest thing on grid, and work your way down to the bottom while you have the damage to kill everything. You know, and then Truth Honor Lights just trying to remove as much damage as they can. Pick like the target they deem might be the weakest, doing the most damage. You know, combo.
They've almost got that Armageddon down, but the Zarm is probably nearing full spool. Can it save? Nope, it can't. Armageddon down for Truth Honor Light. Although it does seem like they're going to lose their Bantam and Burst, but who cares? Their T1 Logi, which are basically throwaway ships.
Either way, you just traded a get-in for a Bantam. That's not a trade anyone would want to make. Ever.
Yeah.
You know, obviously next they're splitting damage a little bit. You know, going out of the Fusser, going out of the Merm Navy, going out of the EOS. That Zarm, like we said earlier, only has 1 rep, so he really has to choose who he wants to rep. You know, and it seems like the Merm's the main target for Odin's, so he switches his spool to that. As we see the Caracal go low on Odin's.
Yeah, the damage just kind of stops there for a second. I'm like, okay, there it goes. Caracal dying. So getting rid of that low end, some of that low end DPS. Try to reduce the incoming damage on the EOS.
And they only have gotten rid of a Caracal Navy for damage, so they've only gotten rid of, like, you know, 500, 600 DPS out of that huge attack bar that they have, so they're just going to continue going to town, getting rid of whatever damage they can, and the EOS is the majority of the damage and links left, so...
Yeah, that Flycatcher's probably not much longer for this world. He dug in deep to get their back line, but he's without support at this point.
Keep in mind that the EOS has very high kinetic resistance, and most of
Nighthawks
has is kinetic locked.
Yeah, see, the EOS isn't breaking. That Zarm's full spooled at this point. They need to switch targets.
Yeah, it's a little quick for to say.
There we go, switching to Confessor.
It takes quite a while to spool full. Not a while, but like a minute plus.
There we go, Confessor getting slapped.
Yeah, so you know, got to throw that single trig rep on that low Confessor.
Why? Okay, I'm confused here. Do you see 2 Zarm buffs here? Is that a glitch?
That is a glitch in the fancy.
Okay, obviously, it's on the Confessor, but...
Yeah, that the fancy takes a second to pull off the trig reps. It finds a hard time following trig reps, so I'm sure there's like rep bots on the EOS right now, and it's just taking a second to realize that it's rep bots. That's on the EOS.
The small reps on this arm.
Those would not show as that rep power, though. It would not show as that repper.
Losing that Flycatcher.
They wouldn't?
No, the fancy UI picks up the single repper.
No.
But I think it's just glitched out. That's the problem. pull him back. They either go for the Vex or they get him low. But that, you know, like that Zarm's gonna start spooling. And they got rid of the flycatcher damage now, so it's a little bit off.
And that Zarm, look at where the Zarm is compared to the rest of the fight. He is in no danger at all. He is just happy as a pig in mud. Just let me heal. Nobody wants to shoot me.
You know, this is the funny thing. Look at the effective DPS of Truth Honor Light versus the Odin's Call team right now. Like, that looks so glitched because they're doing so much damage that that attack bar is not actually correct.
Yeah, they broke the attack bar.
Yeah, they broke the attack bar.
And they're about to break their Drake Navy. Oh my lord. Odin's Call was looking so good at the start of this, but it's fallen apart. They're losing DPS ships left and right, and they've stopped. It's like, as soon as they lost the Caracal, they couldn't outdo the Zarm reps. That Zarm is just switching targets too quickly.
But now they're doing a good job. Like, there is a Nighthawk soloing that EOS, right? Just trying to get the Zarm to rep the EOS. He's not repping the EOS, by the way. That's, like I said, it's a UI glitch. And now the Zarm, the Vexor Navy was the next target. He does go down, but he's been juggling that Vexor Navy and Confessor back and forth for the last, like, 30 seconds, 40 seconds.
Mad props to him doing it. And that Confessor also, obviously he's doing good switching back to defense mode, or else he'd be dead already.
I wouldn't be shocked if he's just hard in defense mode while being
just
in
never
Astro.
even just never even switching back. Just stay in
No, I
defense
wouldn't
mode.
switch back. That's too risky.
Yeah, 10 seconds is a long time to be in the wrong mode.
Especially if you just, oh, cool, I'm good to be in attack mode, and then they primary
tackle
you can't
on-
switch.
See, Odin's, now they've only got 4 ships, and they've got tackle, newts, all the E-War on everything they have left.
And they haven't tackled down, and Odin's is a little split up, by the way. Truth Honor Light let Odin's pounce onto that Geddon off the gate. Rewatching the match, I noticed this. They pounce onto the Geddon.
The Geddon was bait.
Truth Honor Light splits up, right? After the Geddon's, like, gotten. And then they send their screeners in after Odin's realizes, we have the damage to kill anything on grid. Let's go top down, right? You got Truth Honor Light then realizes, you know, that point that they need to split the damage up. They knew this already, but they waited to, like, I feel like get Odin's confidence up a little bit. Oh, we have the damage to break through the spool. Cool, let's just keep going top down. And then Odin's got split up by Truth Honor Light's screeners. The low end, and did a really good job.
Geddon sacrifice was interesting.
I don't dislike it. I don't dislike it at all. It's not going to help a ton in this setup.
I mean, it worked. But the thing that we were kind of talking about when we were watching the match was, what do you nude? I believe they get a nude at the Onyx, but do you like spread your nudes? Because that's a shield rush. They're not going to have cap boosters.
You can spread your newts and, you know, shut off hardeners and props and whatnot, and
like,
make a difference.
It seemed like you want to put them on whatever you're trying to kill at that given moment, just to shut off the hardeners.
What's interesting though, like this is you know, Truth Honor Light put that Geddon up front to begin with, right? There was no getting the Geddon out, anyways, right? So they worked, and this is what Truth Honor Light does a great job. Bro, can you like mute that guy in your chat, Ghosty? So what Truth Honor Light does a good job is they turn around and realized, situationally in the match, they wanted to split people up, and they realized that they couldn't do it off the gate because of their positioning, putting that Geddon in the front, you know, and they turned around and made of what happened after that. They just said, it's lost, that Geddon's lost, period. Let's reform. You know, let's position in the time this Geddon's going to die, and then do what we wanted to do off the start for this kind of setup.
Yep. What I did find interesting that they did not spread the nudes. In fact, I believe they tried to get the Geddon out because the nudes were on the Onyx, if I'm not mistaken. I thought it was like a pretty cool decision-making thing.
Yeah, I will say, I feel like at that point, the Geddon realized, I'm just going to die anyways, and like spreading newts only makes so much of a difference in the beginning. I'm sure maybe if you spread it, it makes a huge difference. I don't think you, I think you almost have to not spread against, like you have to spread it. let's say you got 6 newts on the gun, right? Hit 3 targets, make sure they're drained, you know? Because one heavy newt might not drain all of those targets. You got to make sure you're draining what you're hitting. You could shut down 3 guys off the gate, you know, and
Yeah,
get
but
an
I
advantage
believe he
here.
was not spreading the newts, which
Nope.
was interesting. But like, it's a decision-making thing. Like, you can shut down one and try to get an out, which would have been huge actually, or you can try to spread. Like, what do? You have 30 seconds to decide.
Well, and as we see here, you know, as the match winds down, it all came down to truth, honor, light. Realizing the gun was just gonna die, and focusing more on their positioning and how they're gonna split up Odin's call the best they can to mitigate the max damage they have. And that's really risky to do. You'd think, you know, having a Zarm, you know, you got to put a lot of trust in your Zarm pilot because there's going to be a lot of 1v1s happening if you split people up. They're going to have to only shoot one target, and you have to trust your Zarm pilot to be able to keep everybody up. And in the background, from talking to other commentators, when they watched this match, after they watched it, they said this was, quote, the best Logi performance they have ever seen.
I'll say.
And I will say
that Zarm did some work.
General Hungry did some like work balancing the spool between the Confessor, the Vexer, waiting to spool on the EOS. He knew he didn't need to because there was just one Nighthawk, and you know, if you kill that Confessor and Vexer, that really allows the whole Odin's team to regroup. And he made sure that did not happen, and made sure, even though you lose the Vexer Navy, that it took so much time that the regroup just never happened. I wouldn't bother with this one, Ghosty. This was not one on the list.
You wanted the Templis one?
Yes, this one
Dude,
was not on the list.
Okay, so the next match we have for you guys is, and this is from yesterday, day 3 of the tournament. Truth Honor Light versus Templis Calsf. One of our main opponents in the Warzone. They are a Caldari group. Very honorable group, a 3 brand. I see him quite often with his gang of merry men coming to kill me in my solo ship. Never will he fight me 1v1 because he's a squid. But you know, my complaints about his choice in the warfare zone or in the war zone notwithstanding, this comp of his is fantastic looking. Leshak and Balgorn, just mwah. And triple arbitrator. What the fudge? You couldn't throw in a curse? Like, what the hell here? They really want all the damps all the time. You got the Magus and the Pontifex for your links, Thalia Deacon, classic T2 Logi Frigate combo, and Hyena for long range webs and paints, which are really going to help out that Leshak. Now, the
Truth Honor Light over here went with a weird-ish setup. They've been doing this drone meta, as we see, which is kind of cool. And this variation of it being like, we're gonna bring a Widow at the top, and then we're gonna do Damnation, EOS for links, and just they're beefy boys. A curse for
everybody
even more
taking
control.
our damn idea and doing it better.
No, they're not. This isn't our idea at all.
I know.
It's not even close.
Anytime I see somebody in a scorpion-shaped hull, it's our idea. But anyway, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
But then we got Deacon Talia Logi carries for some damps. So, like, they're really doing their good job going for that, you know, E-War style that they really like with the Widow and the Curse and the carries for damps, tracking disrupts and newts, and then jams. And then they got 2 bombers to just up that damage just a little bit because they are lacking on damage a little bit. So they went with 2 bombers here, which I respect that. That's a little different.
And they varied it up. They brought the Hound
that.
and the Purifier, so now they've got 2 different damage types to work with.
Yeah, and with the bans, I think this is pretty standard for me to say. Templis is known for usually bringing some sort of shield. So, you know, Truth Honor Light got rid of a lot of shield chips, and then you look at Templis' bans. Truth Honor Light's known for bringing their B-War Blackbird comp with a Guardian and or Oneros and just targeted that, and they did a really good job, I think, ban-wise in this match, just targeting like the main game of the other team. And not really showing what they want to run themselves, but just targeting like, hey, we know you run this, and we don't want to see what you normally run. Play something different.
I'm going to go ahead and start it up unless we had anything to add. Right off the bat, we see...
You got anything?
I can't remember this match.
Well, unless you want... I'm about to say, do you have any comments before we start about anything interesting you see about their builds?
Yeah, this is fairly standard from Templis. Actually, I think I maybe remember talking with Table about this, and we thought Hydra was in trouble here.
I was in the same boat as well. I was in the back channels, and I'm like, seeing what's landing on grid, and I'm like, man, that Widow's gonna screw with the Leshek. But if that Balgorn and the Leshek get on that Widow, then I don't think Truth Dynamite has a single chance to win this game.
I had one thought about Tempest's build, but I don't want to say it now because it may spoil a little. But I think they could have swapped one ship out for another, but I'll get to that later.
Yeah, I think the big problem Templis has in this matchup is...
Turn Cheetah up, 1 second.
They don't really have a good way to kill the bombers.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Like, the best way they have to kill the bombers in this comp is arbitrator drones, and that's still not a... Because bombers could just stay out of the arbitrator's range, or drone range, the whole time if they wanted to.
Yeah, because unless he fitted for it, they've only got 50-kilometer drone control range, right?
60.
60.
Max skills is 60.
They do have the GDs to bring the bombers close in the drone range, but it's like they don't have a reliable way to get the bombers out.
Off the gate, right? We're gonna see if you want to let it play. By the way, Ghosty, I'll run through something based off of what Jita said, but you'll see it in about when he starts the video, anyways. But what you're gonna see is all those arbitrators putting all their guidance disruptors on the bombers, basically just making them worthless, anyways. And they have to come in and die to be useful. Shutting down the Damnation, shutting down the Widow. Like, they really shut down the Truth Honor Light comp with those 3 arbitrators off the gate and did get a head start, I'm
just going to pause here. I wonder Truth Honor's Light's initial ECM targets. They went Balgorn. Okay, the Balgorn makes sense. But the Magus, Thalia, Hyena, why would you go for them and not the arbitrators?
None of their ships are going to apply to those things. They're too small.
So they just don't care about the arbitrators?
Remote Seabos, usually.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not gonna have. If you're not gonna, here's the thing, they're running. I don't know exactly what missiles the Widow was running, but I actually think it was Torps or something stupid. Cruises. It was cruises. In this match, that's not gonna apply to the small end, and the Damnation heavies and hams won't apply unless one of those ships is tackled.
All right, so Tempest is going after this little split between the EOS and the carries, but the EOS is getting neuted and is tackled, so I imagine...
The Leshek is on top of the EOS, so the Leshek is spooling on this EOS at this point. And then the drones are just on the carries. Like, all of those RB drones are sitting on the carries. And they just switch to the Talia to get some reps split up.
Hold up, where is the EOS? Is the EOS right here in this blob? Trying to see where he's at.
Yes.
Because I'm wondering why he's so far forward from his team.
He tackled the Leshek, so the Leshek couldn't shoot anything else.
Gotcha. He went to go grab... Okay, he was the screen, basically.
Big boy screener, yes.
Yeah.
And that Leshek, I was looking at how quick it was getting chunked. He was taking really big chunks on this grid, but then pulling back hugely.
Are they getting bombed or smart bombed?
Bombed. That was a bomb going off.
Okay. So all the E-War. Look at the control bars for these two teams. Just off the chart here. Both of them just kind of jockeying for position. That Leshek not really getting to do a whole lot because he's getting jammed out now. So he lost.
And he's getting TD'd as well.
TD'd, jammed, painted. He's not doing a whole lot right now.
What's really interesting, by the way, is you got a curse with a lot of mid slots. He's choosing to use all his TDs on that Leshek. So I'm sure it's just the 2 TDs, and he has 2 missile ones on there for safety. And it's just better to shut the Leshek off at all costs, because that thing spools, it's GG.
Well, I'm thinking about it. That Balgorn's full nude, isn't it? That's a full
Probably
support
not.
Balgorn. I'm not seeing any shots coming from it.
I don't see it on grid to begin with, so...
I was just looking at it. I think it's all Newts and Nos.
I don't think it was. I'm not 100%, but I don't think it was. But this Leshek right now is spooling on that EOS, but getting hard jam pressure from that Widow. At some point here soon, that Leshek
one
gets
second.
jammed
Pause
and
it for a
loses its
second.
spool.
We have a question from the chat. Would you say E-War jamming is one of the biggest parts of EVE? Jamming in particular, maybe not, but E-War as a whole, yes, is a big part. You kind of have
Here's I got a good response to that question, actually.
Okay.
In tournaments, E-War is huge. On the regular server, I think E-War is something that you see towards the upper end of EVE. So if you're like running in a small gang of really tight-knit, really good pilots, usually they will always bring at least one or two E-War ships that are just independent, their own thing. They do a good job. In fleet forms, you'll see doctrines that have E-War ships. I think if you're just flying around, small gang stuff, just chill, E-War gets neglected a little bit more, just because, like, damage, tank, reps, and that's all. And tackle. E-War is probably more neglected out of those roles. It's like just a big plus to add, though. So to answer your question, I think E-War, if you have good E-War pilots and you have a good, every other role's filled and you trust the pilots to fill those roles and live, E-War is like the biggest add you can get. But it is one of the things that I feel like people tend to neglect to use on the regular server as much as they should.
I think that's because, especially in this small gang environment, if you have 6 dudes and you expect to fight 30 dudes, like having a Keras instead of a DPS ship is just not worth it.
Exactly. As in all things in EVE, it depends.
But yeah, I would say E-War is like, once you start getting good in the game,
yeah,
like especially limited engagement sizes, the less ships, the more important the E-War becomes.
Yeah, if you're doing 5v5, let's say it's 5v5, a lot of people would rather have a Keras than an extra damage ship, just because you can really control the fight. And especially, like, if you're outnumbered, too. Like, a lot of the times, if you're going in, like, 5v10, having a single Keras be able to shut down a few of their ships and allow you to engage on your terms a little bit more helps with the lack of numbers.
Would calling E-War a force multiplier be correct? Like, it's not
say
good on its own?
Depending on the situation and how it's used. Like I say, in small gang, I think you can make yourself fight a lot. You could punch up harder with E-War.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But if
you put new bros in it, it's bad.
Yeah, that's where the skill ceiling starts to kick in. If you're just starting off, stick to guns. But if you're ready for a little bit of variety, definitely start checking out these E-War, because, like I said, like we've been saying, if you've got the numbers versus your opponent, 1 or 2 E-War ships can be the difference between getting completely wiped out or wiping them out. All right, I'm going to start this back up.
And start this back up, seeing that we have this wonderful E-War fight going on for
as an example,
3 minutes and nothing has died.
A couple things have come close, like the Thalia. Oh, Tempest. He's getting nuded and webbed. He is dead. He's fucking dead.
3 Brand just got jammed.
Yep. And 3 Brand's Jan couldn't save him. Thalia was nuded out, so couldn't run away. And now the Thekin's going to follow. He's got webs. He's got paints. And the TD's just not doing a whole lot right now, it seems. I don't know.
Maybe mainly because there's a lot of drones on that.
So the drones are making up the difference?
Yeah, they're doing just enough damage mixed with the jams to take down ships.
That's poor Leshek. He can't stay on anything at the moment. Like, as soon as he gets...
the Leshek's being hard held down by an EOS. So he can only shoot the EOS because of the TDs on him.
Mm-hmm.
And the jams are not allowing him to break the EOS.
I think this is where the problem that they have is starting to show. They have no reliable way to kill these bombers, which can get close enough to not be affected by the GDs, unless that's on application
and they
script,
have no
which I assume is
counter.
not.
And they have no counter for the Widow's jams. Like, they have no way to shut off its jams. Like, okay, I'll say it now. This is what I wanted to say. If they had traded one arbitrator for something like a Celeste, so they could get mixing in some damps with this, I wonder if it would have gone better for them. Because
here's a interesting thought process as well. This was kind of getting screamed in comms that I was in. Balgorn, can you please get on top of that Widow and put some damn nuke pressure on it?
Mm-hmm. And as you say
like,
that, nukes appear on the Widow.
Long. Like, that's the thing is, like, the Widow, like, you might not nude it out until, like, really late in the match, but here we are, 5.5 minutes in, and the only thing that's dead is Italia. So, like, that nuke pressure night right now might help.
But now they're losing the Leshak slowly because they've only got the Deacon.
But they're actually killing this EOS now. Like, the Leshek's actually gotten to spool for a little while, it looks like.
Yeah, the only thing jammed right now is the Deacon. Oh, the jam's coming back on the Leshak.
Yeah, they're trying to save their EOS, but he's looking like he's bleeding a little hefty right now.
Truth, Honor, Light doing all the right moves right here. Just patience,
Yep. Then I really like their decision to not kill the Deacon. Just throw like a single Amar jam on it and some nuke pressure, and just make 3 brands life hell.
Yeah.
Like you're nuded out. Oh, you hit a jam. You got to use your cap booster at the right time with the nuke, and you don't want to waste it when you're jammed. So they're really making 3 brands do a lot of work here.
So the Leshak was finally able to shake the EOS, but it took so long. Took almost 7 minutes to free himself. He's got 3 minutes left. Now, they do have the point lead, but the Leshak bled so much armor getting out of that EOS that, oof, the Deacon's going to struggle to keep him up.
3 Brain's doing a fair job, though, like, working through those jams and newts, and he's getting shot now, He's trying to get out of the situation alive himself, and he's pulling back this Leshak.
Now they're damping him to force him forward.
The Leshak got re-tackled, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The Leshak got re-tackled.
What's he being whipped by now?
The Vexer got in on him. No, the Vexer.
Oh, yeah, the Vexer. Yeah, the Vexer. Yep. So it's like, okay, we'll give you another thing to chew on for 20 more minutes. Oh, this poor Leshak. Rep your little heart out.
Oh gosh, 3 brands in structure himself. Like, he's nuded to shit, damped to shit, webs on him, painted. Like, he's piloting so well right now, trying to save him and his Leshak boy. As they're trying to clear those Vexer tackle. Like, the Vexer, this was a great, interesting thing. The Vexer was not holding the Leshak, right? The Leshak just got free, by the way, from this Vexer. The Vexer pulled out of the fight to try and live so he wouldn't get spooled on. And he got webbed down by the Hyena. He got back on the Leshak just now, but the Hyena took a second just to get him off of that Leshak with some defensive webs.
But this now Leshak would hold if those bombers were dead.
Yeah. Oh, are the bombers up close to him right now? Or they're pretty close, actually. They're up pretty close now.
I mean, they've been within, I would say, 40 kilometers the whole time. Like, they might be shooting like long-range ammo, faction, or even jabs. But they are definitely doing damage to that Leshak, and have been the whole time. Like, it took forever to kill the EOS, which is, yeah, it happens. It's a tanky ship. And
well, I mean, that Widow did some work on that and the TDs too. Like, the amount of E-War on this grid, both teams are probably annoyed to shit. But right now, Templis is winning 18-6, but that Leshak is...
Yeah, losing the Leshak loses you the match. That's all your damage.
Yeah, I mean, you still got a bow, but
I'm convinced that bow doesn't have a gun.
It does have guns, but it's being held down the whole time. It was also just like being scram webbed the whole time in the back line. which
Yep, I
is
think this
absolutely
was
good.
an excellent example of how to screen Leshak from Hydra. Sorry,
Yeah.
THL.
And I think they did a good job too. And the match, went pretty far. It was a match of every single E-War tackle really mattering. And I think once again,
I also
uh,
think Templis played this extremely well. Like they had a really
they
good showing.
they
They were
played it
so
really
close to winning.
well. I wish their Bal and Leshak were a little tighter. You know what I mean? That way they could use their newts together to maybe free themselves up from targets and stay on what they wanted to. Because at one point the EOS pulled range from the Leshak to stop it from spooling. Another point a jam hit on the Leshak. Like if they or maybe they could have broken tackle and gotten on the Widow. Like I said, I think the Widow was probably like what you really want to just shoot if you're Templis.
Laven, I'm not worried about the people who can Google it, okay? I'm worried about the people who chose not to Google it, specifically because they wanted to watch the match in its entirety and experience it like we did when we got to see it live, okay? Does that make sense? All right. Sorry. Don't argue with me why I say no spoilers, okay? Please.
But I will say, like, this match going to time and like not much dying, and this is something I will point out that I think, and this is crazy to say, that the actual MVP of this match, I mean, Brainstraw's EOS play tackling the Leshak, just like I said, Truth on the Light's been doing this a lot. Just not afraid to just go in and tackle something and just trust that they're not gonna die for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
And another on the Temple side, I got to give a damn huge shout out to Three Brand there because like
they didn't feed. I mean, look how close this match was.
Three Brand himself though kept that Leshak alive way longer than it probably should have. Temples, I don't think had rep bots out, by the way. So that was all the Leshak and Three Brand reps to keep alive. Three Brand's piloting, like, they primaried him and he just burned away and wasted their time and then made them shoot him to try to kill him, and he just didn't die while being neuted, while being painted, while being webbed, while being ECM'd.
If that was me, I'd be dead.
The amount of time he bought, that Leshak should have died a long-ass time ago.
But I still wonder if they had not brought triple arbitrator, if they just switched one of those up for like I don't know what you could get for how many points would you get back? You'd get back 2 plus you'd get 10 points because you got the stacking penalty for having 3, right?
Is like you bring an attack battle cruiser. I don't think it really matches his comp proper.
What about a Celeste?
I mean, a Confessor would have killed the bombers.
Confessor would have been nice.
So, I mean, triple arbitrator is nice and all, but they didn't have an answer for the Widow, and they needed an answer for the Widow's jams so that the Leshak could do his thing, because he was sitting there, because, again, he's trying to kill the EOS, and then as soon as he gets good and spooled, he gets jammed, and it's like, and then you got to wait until the jam doesn't hit, and then he's got to spool up again, and he can't, it's not like he can target the Widow because he's getting TD'd, and he's out of his range because of the TDs. Like, he needed to shut off those jams.
An interesting thing is, even if you per se went with a I thought the hyena was a weird choice in this comp personally, as well, because you have the bowel webs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I feel like you'd almost be better off going with a Keris instead, because like damps, like people are always like, oh, damps don't work if you're brawling. It's like you believe it or not, they do a good work on back ends or forcing Logi to commit harder than they should in certain situations. Stuff like that.
And Cheetah was pointing out that the Balgorn probably could have been neuting the Widow. I wonder how long it took to get a newt on that Widow.
I pointed that in the beginning. He didn't until 4 minutes in.
Right there. That's where the okay, so the Balgorn could have been dealing with the Widow, but that I wonder who's making the calls for where his stuff goes. If that
I'm sure he was trying to originally they were trying to newt the EOS off of the Leshak.
Okay.
Right. So that the Leshak could go be free and probably shoot the Widow. But I think they just realized a little too late that just wasn't working.
Also, the ball is screened, pretty hard.
And even when they switched to the Widow, they kept newts on the EOS the whole time.
Like I said, once again, and this is something I really like to see out of Truth Honor Light, is they always have, like, not a huge low end. They have a minimalized low end. Like, they're using an EOS and a Vexer for tackle. And they tackled the two things they need to tackle and made it so everything else on their team was safe, and they just trusted their Logi to keep them alive. And their Evor. And it worked. Again. Like, they're so confident with it. And they just know they could trust that process, and it shows once again in that match. So this is today. We're on to day 4, and this is the 3rd and 4th place match. Loser gets 4th place. Winner gets to move to the lower bracket final, which would be the winner of the lower bracket final goes to the finals, obviously, and the loser of the lower bracket final gets 3rd. So this match is a best of 1 for 4th place or moving forward for more than that.
And oh Lord, the Trinkle bands on this one. 6 bands on each side. If you guys don't know, you get extra bands if you end up doubling up with your opponent. Is that correct? Or wait,
if you double up in the first 4 bands, if you double up, you each get 4. I'm going to explain how.
Okay, yeah, Zarm, yeah.
Each team will get a message about 40 minutes before the match by GMs, and they'll say, hey, what ships do you want to ban for your match? And your captains will pick 4 ships that they don't want to see on grid. If they're banned, they will not be allowed to be brought unless it is a flagship, which is special. And it is randomly done. Once both teams submit all 4 of those bans, the GMs, referees will look at those bans and say, hey, you guys are set. None of your bans are the same as each other. They will give the other team, hey, these are the ships your other team has banned, so you're not allowed to bring these 8 ships. And then you have time. You have, 20 minutes. Tell me when you're ready, and we'll check you over. If you share bans with the other team, their officers will be like, hey, you guys banned the same thing. You now get these things called trickle bans, and you'll get the amount of trickle bans. So if you have, curse together, you'll get another ban each. Again, blind. So if you have multiple bands that match each other, that's the amount of matched bands is the amount of re-bans you will get, but it only happens once. So if you match each other again in these trickles, you don't get to do it again because it's just too many times.
Mm-hmm. And then just to break down... so Tuskers is bringing Galente-powered drone comp with double EOS, Proteus, Vexter Navies, my favorite ship, Ishtar, double Thalia, Heretic, Ishkur. Why the heck they lit a Heretic in on their Galente theme, I'll never know. They'd lose brownie points for me in there, but otherwise it seems like a very standard comp, very good comp. It's going to be very tanky. It's going to project well because the drones will just chase you down. E-War is typically bad against drone comps because drones don't care about your E-War. As long as they can lock you up long enough to assign drones, they don't care what else you do to them past that point. And
that's why they brought this comp, because Tusker or Truth Honor Light is known for their E-War.
Exactly. So, and then Truth Honor Light, bringing Bargas, double Nighthawk, lots of missiles. I don't know. This almost feels like some sort of a Kingslayer style with the way they got the 3. Just a rush comp. Okay.
Just a rush comp, right?
Yeah, it's a
We're headed with a Barg.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, what Truth Honor Light was thinking, and this is where the head games begin. These guys all know each other's styles, all know they could fly different styles. All hey, this guy's going to bring this because we usually bring this, but if we bring this, maybe, it just turns into head games. And I think this is what it turned into. Tusker said drones. Truth Honor Light really likes their E-War, and I'm sure they'll bring some form of it. And Truth Honor Light said, I'm sure they're expecting us to bring some E-War. Let's just bring a lot of damage and throw them off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we got here, boys.
And then the Kirin is the Griffin, the upgraded Griffin.
That is the T2 Logi frigates.
Oh, okay. Those are okay. Never mind. See, it tells you I don't know everything. So they got the Caracal Flycatcher.
This guy's on my team. Oh my god.
Hey, this is why I joined the AT, is so I could learn all these ships and slowly let it creep in my brain. But okay, so you got the Caracal Flycatcher, Jackdaw, I imagine they're probably running light missiles to deal with little stuff, and then the Caracal
Rapid
and
lights and hams, yes.
yeah. I wonder if the Osprey and Caracal are running rapid lights, or they're probably running hams.
I think everything is running hams actually on this grid except for Jackdaw Flycatcher running. I think the Jackdaw Flycatcher are running rockets.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start this up.
So,
unless anybody has a question about what they see.
I think Hydra broadcasted what they're gonna bring a bit too much with the banning of webs. I think
I will say they banned
read.
webs a few matches in a row, which is kind of cool.
And here comes that dive. Dive.
Look at them go.
Keep in mind, this is kinetic damage into Galente hulls.
Once again, yes.
That's a lot of tech to Galente hulls.
Flycatcher using the MJD beacon to get behind.
This is something I also want to note now.
Going hard on the Ishkur.
Maybe I'm not correct.
Yeah, they got Flycatcher looks like he caught the Ishkur. Where's that Ishkur? I can't see. Yes. So they're trying to get that low end off the table first. Ishkur's basically just a tackle ship, right?
Yes, but it has a drone bay, and it's a tackle ship.
So get rid of that small end. They paid for it with a Jackdaw. Point-wise, it says it's equal. I'm not so sure, though. Jackdaw seems to be a bit more versatile, and they also lost the Flycatcher. So they killed one at low end for two of theirs. Does not seem like a good trade. They got the Nighthawk. Tuskers gets THL's Nighthawk and Osprey tackled.
Here's something funny to note. Half of those Tusker ships are 100 MN.
The more to use their middle finger to all the missiles being thrown at them. If you guys don't know, afterburners are really good against missiles because they don't increase your signature radius, and you can get out of the explosion quicker. Basically, when a missile blows up, the explosion propels at a certain velocity. If you're going faster than the velocity of the explosion, you take less damage.
I don't know how many exactly of the ships, but I think at least we were watching it in the broadcast room, and we were able to guarantee, I think, one of the ships was overpropped. We were looking back and forth. We know, like, some of them obviously were 50 MN micro, but some of them might have had multiple props on them as well. It was pretty interesting how they fit the mids.
I mean, THL did what they wanted right off the bat.
Taking out the low one. The Tuskers is doing a good job just clearing out that low one, clearing out that tackle, getting rid of, DPS by clearing off the weakest target HP-wise to get rid of DPS, and Truth on their lights just realizing they just don't have the damage with the resists, with the speed that Tuskers is still putting up somewhat, and
in all honesty, they played right into Tusker, Tusker kind of wanted them to dive. It's like, please get into range of our drones quicker.
Yeah, I thought this was definitely an interesting matchup here, because this Ishtar is not really living, but you're losing a Caracal Navy. You've already lost all your cruisers and you're down to 2 battle cruisers and a Bargust versus.
I mean,
a lot.
they don't have the damage. They don't have the
showing already.
Alias, and they don't have the damage to kill the Proteus or the Eoses. So this is lost.
Yeah, I think they knew that. I think they knew that while shooting the Ishtar as well. It was just like, this thing's taken a decade to break. We're not going to break anything else. Maybe Vexors might break, but I think once you lost the Ospreys, or one of the Caracal Navy, I think you realize, I don't think we're going to break Vexor Navies in time to save our Nighthawks.
I wonder if they're just using the wrong ammo type. Because I'm seeing explosive explosions, but I'm seeing EMs as well.
Nighthawks are kinetic lock for damage. So if you don't use kinetic, you lose all the bonus damage for those ships.
Gotcha.
So if they're using explosive, they lose a lot of damage by doing that. But if they use kinetic, they lose even more damage because, resistance profile.
Galente.
And you just got to run the risk, oh my gosh, if they plug their explosive hull, it might still be better to do this, but it's really not better to do that. Like I'm a little shocked they didn't go for the two Vexor navies, being the only like T1 resistance hull bonus ships on the grid.
They're playing super far away with the AT-XIX.
Yeah, they did a good job keeping those ships out of there, knowing it would be the best primary. But also, like, cool, you killed the two Vexor navies. Now what? Like you're still gonna have to deal with the resistance monster that Tuskers has.
It's like you dealt with the VNIs, now deal with the EOS.
Deal with any this was a good showing by Tuskers. This is a grudge match. Last year, for anyone who doesn't know, Truth Honor Light and Tuskers played each other in the upper bracket, really early in the tournament, and Tuskers won against Truth Honor Light, bringing a really wacky shield missile ships, but put damps in all of the mids because you used to be allowed to do that for some reason because CCP was cool. And just beat up on Truth Honor Light. And then Truth Honor Light played him in the lower bracket finals last year, I believe. They played him in this exact setup, like 4th place, 3rd place setup match. And Tuskers flipped the script and beat them. And then Tuskers went on to win last year's Truth Honor Light went on to win last year's AT. Tuskers lost to them. And now we see them in the same spot this year, except for Tuskers has now made Truth Honor Light your 4th place finalist for AT-19.
Yeah, I think this was a perfect read from Tuskers.
Yeah, there's something that was pointed out. I think it was pointed out on the Dusk by Black Bart Pirate at some point. Not gonna say when, but at some point, that Tuskers this year has done a really good job switching it up. It feels like Mirror Chief has always brought really wonky comps, and sometimes there's like a time they get eliminated, and the people are like, man, if you just brought like a standard competitive comp, you would have wiped out any team. And Blackbart said, it feels like Tuskers has matured a little bit and started bringing a lot more of those, standardized comps and just out executing everybody, And I think that comp they just brought was not standard very much, but a good comp that they knew was close enough to standard that they could execute it properly against a team like Truth Honor Light, and they just bet on it to win, and they did a good job. Every ounce of it. Theory crafting, piloting, reading bans, banning properly as well.
All right. Well, we're about at the halfway mark for the stream, so we're going to take a short 3-minute break, give everybody a chance to go get a drink, use the bathroom. Exclamation mark draw for a chance at a Vedmax Scope Syndicate skin. Give it 3 minutes, and I'm going to hit the roll button. In the meantime, I'm going to play some music. Warp to the dance floor.
Bio.
Yes. I'm going to go refresh my coffee. I'll be right back.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, same. All right.
Yeah, hands up high for the friendship. All right, exclamation mark draw. We got 20 seconds left. Again, this is for a Vedmak Scope Syndicate skin. There aren't very many of these, but this one is mine, and I am giving it to y'all.
Remember, rig it for Chad.
3, 2, 1. Who's going to win? And I hope you've been enjoying the commentary so far, guys. If you got any questions about what you see on stream, if you don't understand what a specific ship does, if you don't understand the jargon we're using, please feel free to speak up. The idea is to help people understand how wonderful this tournament is, because it really gets, you get to showcase what all these different ships get to use. Sometimes in the live game, it gets really static what you fight, especially if you're like a solo pilot like me. Hoppy 432, congratulations, you are the winner. But I need to hear from you in chat. Would you please type your in-game name in chat for me? There you be. It would be exclamation mark IGN, but I think my bot is busted. And I know why, too, if it's for the reason I think. All right. Hold up, let me hide this.
Your bot is busted.
Yeah. I know why. I gotta go re-authenticate get it re-authenticated. I can do that later, though. All right, Hoppy 432, double check. Make sure this is your ugly mug. This be you? Question mark. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, let me send that to you. Thank you so much. And again, we're going to give away one more at the end of the recap. We are on the second half, which is just going to be the finals, basically. So, minor spoiler alert. We're not going to tell you how many matches this went. We're not going to tell you who won. But the finals were between Frat and Tuskers. No joke, yep. Frat put in some work this year. They had a really good showing overall. Tuskers, the pedigreed team, was heavily favored. I don't want to spoil how this went, but these two teams slugged it out. Both of them deserved the win. You know,
I would like to spoil how they got here. So
we can spoil how they got here.
Upper bracket, right? We got Fraternity in the upper bracket versus Barcode, right? And Fraternity, best of 3, 2-0'd Barcode, and sent them down to the lower bracket for the third place match against Tuskers, as we just saw, being Truth Honor Light, earning that spot. To which Barcode just lost 2 games to Fraternity, and then turned around and lost 2 more games in a row to Tuskers, and Barcode has secured their spot as the number 3 team in Alliance Tournament 19, which moves Fraternity to the finals to face the Tuskers. Go.
And then Tuskers bringing out for the first match something very similar to what we saw against Truth Honor Light. Double Eos, double Ishtar, double VNI, double Thalia. Again, they're going for that drone comp that's resistant to E-War. Bans showing... I don't understand their bans if this was their comp. Why ban Blackbird, Widow, Rook, Falcon? That's just all the ECM boats, right?
You know why? You make them think that you're bringing something that doesn't want to get jammed. And then you bring that shit.
And then Fraternity, with their own answer, banning out the Hugin, Rapier, Osprey, and Barghest. Barghest, just a solid ban. You don't want it. Tuskers did not have a flagship Barg, so they knew they can get that off the table.
Exactly. To give insight on where we stand in this best of 5... 2 things. A, both teams have their flagship. Fraternity has a flagship Vindicator. Tuskers has a flagship Get-In Navy. Being a best of 5, the rules of the best of 5. If you win a match, you get these things called conquest bands added to the normal bands. How conquest bands work. If you win any ship you put on grid, you will not be able to fly again for the rest of the rounds. All of the rounds except for if it goes to 5, the last match, all conquest bands reset. But for the rest, all the way up until then, if every time you win, the ships you win with will not be allowed to be brought again until, per se, if it goes to 5.
So once you get to this point, you're not allowed to bring one comp that wins it all. You have to actually have a couple in your repertoire, or at least enough substitute ships with your primary comp that you can get around yourself. Basically, you're self-banning. Like, you win, now I can't use that ship.
And here's another thing, right? You have to be able to, you'll see a lot of funky things happen in these setups, right? Tuskers doing, I think, a really good job understanding, like, hey, we want to get ahead. They're only bringing, Eos, Ishtar, Vexor Navy, Talia, Hyena, Ishkar. They're only bringing 6 ships. If you bring 10 ships can't be fielded if you win. So Tuskers only bringing 6 ships is really cool. Frat, they spread out a little bit, but they also brought double Deacons, so they have a Talia frigate option in the future if they win. Tuskers bringing double Talia, they have a Deacon option in the future if they win. They're thinking ahead. A best of 5 series is a lot different than just a one and done. People say, oh, why don't you just run, Deacon Talia and save 2 points and use it somewhere else? Because then both of them can't get used if you won that match.
And before we started, just looking at Fraternity's comp a little bit. So they're going Navy, Armageddon, Double Arbitrator, EOS. Now imagine... I don't know how the EOS fits in here. I mean, obviously armor comp, but what role is the EOS? Because I'm assuming missiles on the Armageddons along with newts, the Stork for their bursts, VNI Vexor being their tackle / screen. Like I said, I'm not sure what the EOS is fitting in here. Seems a little out of place.
Links and Frat's a drone comp.
So this is a drone comp. So okay, that makes more sense.
That's a full nuke Geddon Navy, a full nuke Geddon. There's no guns on any of those ships.
Okay, yeah. I keep forgetting that Armageddon can go drone boat though. Yeah, drone and newt. All right. Any more questions or anything before we start this? 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. All right, at match start, launching sentry drones, or Tuskers launch sentry drones and start to pull towards, and they're not burning right at them, but they are trying to get I can't tell from this angle, honestly. They're moving. Confirmed. Tuskers are moving.
Both teams are, like you see, the Geddon and Geddon Navy leading the pack, just trying to utilize their newts. You see Tuskers burning a little bit to the side. They drop sentries off the gate.
Oh, they're hitting that MJD beacon. Okay.
Yep, and they got that Vexor primary with their sentry drones. They're just trying to stay away from that Geddon Navy, but it looks like they're trying to catch that team over committing a little bit here, and you see that Hyena webbing them down as they try to get in on that Tuskers team, and the newts being put on the Hyena to try and stop the webs. So,
because right now the only thing that can stop their advance is the Hyena. But they're sitting really close to that MJD beacon. And right now, where Fraternity's backline is, doesn't... Oh, God, if they, jumped back onto them... I don't know. They're not that close to the MJD beacon now that I'm looking at it. Problem with playing a game in 3-dimensional space and only being able to see in 2 dimensions. Yes, this is the grand final.
It's a slow, methodical match here. Both teams' damage bars are mid-tier. They're not huge. Tuskers being a little bit bigger than Frat.
Hyena,
but that
getting
Frat
hard lung.
control bar is like through the
Yeah.
roof with those newts. But Tuskers right now, just really sticking to killing that EOS. Doesn't seem like Frat's able to really do much to the Tuskers team.
Yeah, I mean, for all the newts and everything on that Hyena, it is living a lot longer than you would think.
I mean, neuting him out ain't gonna ruin him from living. It's just like the Talias are playing it really safe too right now. They're not like, oh, we got to get on top of this Hyena to save him and putting themselves in.
Now the Armageddons,
they're playing fall off.
Yeah, and the Armageddons have dug in so deep that the EOSs are getting behind them back towards the arbitrators in the back line.
Yep, and now those Talias did push up a little bit far, but not too far. So they're getting fall-off newts right now by the Get in Navy. It's not like hard affecting them, but it is something that is doing a little bit of work to them as they burn away.
It's not how wide the control bar is, it's how you use it.
Yeah. Like Frat's control is just absurd on this grid, But and that's the thing though, their control is all in newts.
I see Tuskers got into the back line. They're losing Deacon, or Fraternity's losing their Deacons. The Armageddons are slow and they over advanced. Like with these big ships, movement counts. Like if you make a wrong turn, it's going to take you exponentially longer to correct that mistake than if you were in a smaller ship.
Also, those VNIs are cap transferring the Talias, I believe.
Yes, they are. The VNIs both
tanker
had cap
VNIs.
We saw that in our camp. Well, it's not tanker technically.
Well,
because it's just a cap transfer.
Just a good use.
I thought that was what tanker meant, was cap transfer.
Nope. Tanker is where you all are cap transferring one dude so he can always permanently tank his ship through ancils, right? Or tinkering, you could also argue a different sense is just cap chaining a little bit. But basically the Italias are cap booster fit, running the cap booster and getting that little bit of cap transfer from the Vexers to keep them propping and keep them getting that slight bit of reps out as they could. Good job by Tuskers utilizing those spots in a drone setup. They have some extra utility highs to use for stuff like that.
And guys, you're allowed to have your opinion in chat, but don't get ugly.
I think that was funny. And I assume it was a joke.
And
now I'm actually checking how many cap boosters you can fit into a Windy.
Well, that individual in particular has been on our radar for a minute, so... Drones going down to the arbitrator, cleaning them up, just one after another after another. It is cleanup time for Tuskers. Frat just doesn't have the damage to finish off anything else. Both Thalias still alive for Tuskers. I mean, sure, you can tackle and newt things, but you've got 7 enemy ships to deal with now with only 4.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Frat. I mean, one thing I did point out, a little bit before this, right, was, man, Tuskers still got 2 battleships left, and those newts make a difference as the match goes on.
Yeah, Eric.
And I'm like, but you gotta kill something. Those Talias, it felt like Frat didn't do a good job trying to get rid of those Talias early while they had damage on grid. They didn't go for the Logi trade. A lot of teams would go for the Logi trade, and I said in comms, I'm like, I think that's what makes the difference here. Tuskers being a lot more seasoned than Fraternity, per se.
Yeah, Frat really wanted
immediately jump the gun on that Logi trade,
Well, I mean, they went really hard on the Hyena. Was the Hyena not a good first target? I'm trying to think of, if they left the Hyena...
I think it was a good first target. I think it was a great first target. But it's a matter of,
But they went for the Ishtars after that. Yeah.
Then they went for the T2 hull Ishtars to get some damage off grid. I think if you just get rid of even just get rid of one Talia, throw all your newts on one Talia and just throw all your damage on the other Talia, and then just get it off grid, and then throw your newts on the Talia and just kill stuff from there. Just removing that factor, makes a difference, especially if you notice, like, hey, those Vexers had cap transfers. Like, maybe newt the Vexers so that they can't cap transfer. You have 2 battleships full of newts, But in the heat of the moment in these matches, you have so many things to worry about that sometimes the last thing that's going through your head is I got to look at their ship directly to see if they're receiving any remote stuff. Sometimes, people, you got to really work with your team. And like I said, this is their first real appearance in AT.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they do have a few things to learn from this too,
Fabuki's
but they're
a
doing a
first-time
really
captain,
good job. So,
Fabuki's a first-time captain, isn't he? Or she?
No.
I thought they said this was their first year. Hold up. I thought they said this was their first year.
No, this is their first, big year. They've been in the tournaments before. They've just never been a Apex team. Also, don't forget they used to have the Serenity tournaments, so he's used to tournaments, just more on Serenity than actual live server. But, that's match 1.
Wait,
Tuskers
okay, he wrote today, thank you all for watching and supporting my team, first-time captain here, and also thanks to CCP. Fabuki was saying...
First-time captain.
Yeah, that's what I said, first-time captain. So this is the first...
their team's first time.
No, I said Fabuki's first time being a captain of a team.
For AT, yes.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to fault Frat too much on this. I mean, it was really stacked against them just from the composition layout. They were banking on arbitrators.
You could always look back and be like, you could have done this better. You could have done that better. And that's just how EVE is. And I'm sure teams always kick themselves in the ass for we do it to ourselves all the time. I fucking sleep on a lot of the stuff we do,
It just felt like the arbitrators were kind of dead picks versus what they were against. Again, you have no way of knowing what you're going up against until you land on grid. So you take what you're dealt. Just taking heavy EWAR versus...
just didn't do well.
Yeah. And then target selection. Combine that with target selection.
I think target selection plus a little bit of newt pressure. Once again, it's just the small things. And I think, being a seasoned team like Tuskers, they just did a little bit better at the small things and won the match because of that. But that is match 1. So now Tuskers, mind you, cannot bring in their next match EOS, Ishtar, Vexer Navy, Talia, Hyena, or Ishkur, plus whatever bans are done by these teams.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, everything they just fielded, plus Blackbird, Pontifex, EOS, and Magus. So they've adapted by... Now, this is their Navy. This is their flagship, right?
This is a flagship Get-In Navy brought by the Tuskers.
Mm-hmm. And obviously no flagship on Fraternity side, as they don't have a battleship. So breaking down the Tusker side... got Guardian, Merm Navy, Myrmidon, Double Sentinel for the, those are newts and TDs, right? Yeah. Curer is the mini Balgorn. Right. It's got the improved Nosses.
It's the frigate version. The frigate. It's got improved webs, Nosses, and newts.
And then
it's basically a Hyena replacement.
Yeah. And then Vexer and Crucifier to act as your low-end tackle screeners. I'm guessing this is kind of another drone comp, considering the double Myrmidon.
Yep, Tuskers brought another drone comp, which shocked everybody because, usually when you have conquest bans, you usually have to switch it up a little bit. You usually can't run the same style 2 matches in a row. Tuskers doing a really good job here with utilizing ships that were available still in a drone kind of setup, which is props to them. It looks, in my opinion, it is obviously, I think, a little weaker than their last comp.
Because
it gets buffed by...
completely. I think this is completely different style of comp.
I think it's different, but I think it follows the same, drones are damage, and they have the control this time versus Frat has the control this time.
And then Fraternity bringing the battle cruiser setup with that Zarm, again, the T2 Triglavian logistics that we've seen used to great effect so far in this tournament. Double Execure Navy, Brutix, and Augur, you know, just really high damage ships with decent tank that can hold things down. The Nurgle, again, another great Triglavian ship. That's the T2 frigate yeah, that's their assault frigate, right? Yeah.
It is and here's what's interesting is my dumbass was too focused on this comp versus this comp, like rock paper scissors kind of setup, that I didn't even notice the Nurgle until about 3 minutes into the match. And you know, if I was looking this at a fresh grid, the first thing I'd be like is that Nurgle doesn't fit in, and I want to see how much work it can do.
And the overall goal of Fraternity's comp is, you know, mid-range projection with rails.
Rails, beams, mid-range projection, but it's very interesting you say that, because the goal is you could fight at any range you want. So if you want to load Conflag and Brawl, you still do really good damage. You just have to pick your engagement range is the bonus to it.
So flexibility and engagement.
Frat just needs to like kill the DPS before they lose their cruises, and all the battle cruises get controlled by the newts. Because all of their guns, every single one of their gunboats is cap using guns.
Also, this is crazy because a stat that I was following really heavily in this tournament was how often do full newt get in navies win? And they only won two times. They've only won 2 times going into this match. And Tuskers has brought a full newt flag, get a navy, which is weird because they have like 8 fits for that thing. I love it. So we will see how it plays out here.
Any more comments from y'all or chat before we start this up? The Nurgle is a nice ship, good resist, so you can tackle like a boss, amazing damage once you get ramped, and it's Triglavian, so it looks cool. Yeah, exactly. All right, we'll fire this up. Again, Fraternity is not out if they lose this, but they definitely want to win it, so they give themselves a buffer. And right off the bat, all the TDs, 5 TDs spread out against pretty much every competent battle or damage ship they have. But Fraternity is not pulling in. Instead, they're still pulling away from it.
Yeah. They're making it so the drones take a little bit longer to get on them, maybe screwing with a little bit of drone control range.
No.
I think they're actually shooting a few drones right now.
Now, from this angle, the Zarm looks like he got in front and didn't, like he was... I know what happened. He hit approach to the MJD beacon, but he did it and it didn't respond, and he sat there in the front, not moving. And that's going to cost him because he's getting neuted, he's getting painted. The Zarm being out of position is not a good thing for Fraternity.
No, but the Zarm is a very tanky boy ship.
Where is he?
In the beginning of a match, that's a lot of damage to want to try and tank.
So
especially with those newts, it's hard to tank.
The Zarm's correcting his positioning. He's gotten behind his teammates now. He still has all the paints on him, but he's moving. That's what matters. You know, he's not standing still. That's going to help.
He's not neutered.
Yeah, and he's no longer neutered. Well, it says he's got a newt on him.
No, that's a painter. Well, now he's got a newt.
But he's only got to deal with the Armageddon's newt, and since the battleship cycle time is so long, if he's injected and careful with it, he can get around that newt to get himself brief windows of capacitor.
Can he get around 6 though?
Good point. Yeah, especially if they're daisy chained, you know, staggered.
Yeah, and I'm sure that VLD is a really good pilot. I'm actually shocked he's flying the flagship. He usually does a really good job in the low end. I think he's a top tier low end pilot, so I really like seeing him up in that top end. So I'm sure he's really micromanaging things properly.
That Zarm moving at 3,000 meters a second finally gotten free of that newt, and look at that string of red drones chasing him. She's like, you can't catch me. I'm fast as fast can be. Like, at this point, he's nowhere near his team, but that's because he has to just stay moving. Do not stop. If you stop, you are dead.
Boy, going to
And
run
he
out of
looped-
heat at some point
He,
soon.
like, legit looped around back to his team going that fast. Like, just made a big O
Yeah,
circle.
well, he has to. He needs to catch those links. I wouldn't be shocked if we see links pop off in 3 seconds just to make sure he gets the round. Like, time that stuff right.
Oh, my Lord. Copper saving himself. Like, he was in such a bad position to begin with. I really thought he was going to die, and just...
There's the links.
Yeah.
Like I said, like, you want to try and time... That's another thing. Like, you feel like you got to time your links the best you can sometimes and hope that you can get that guy's links or get your links off before you die. You want to have links on grid as much as possible. They make a massive difference in this setting. In all settings.
But he's got the newts back on him, and he's still in a horrible position. Red's right on top of him. He's next to that MJD beacon. Perhaps he can use it to get out of there.
And they got newts back on him again, but nope, they're off again. Like, they're just getting a quick touch. You know, it's a whole positioning match here. They want Tuskers know they have to kill the Zarm or else they're not going to break stuff on grid. And Frat is just TD'd to the point where they don't really have a good target to commit onto. You know, they don't want to over commit themselves right now.
Rewind this a little bit
because getting newts, especially with your Zarm running, laps around the arena like it's some NASCAR race.
Yeah, hold up a second. I got to rewind this just a little bit because, okay, look at where this arm is now compared to Red Fleet. Still going at over 2,000 meters a second with newts on him, no less. He is just trucking.
Just fall off newts, but still, yeah.
But I mean, he is burning cap boosters, which is...
But he's chewing up their time. Not that Fraternity has really been able to capitalize on this. They haven't really been able to apply much damage anywhere except for the Guardian. Like, they're still just jockeying for a position.
They just started applying damage 3.5 minutes into the match. I hate to say it, and like I said, I feel like it's smart still on Fraternity's part because you were hoping to see an overextend on Tuskers. You guys don't want to overcommit into that flag getting Navy, on that grid, especially like I said, when your Zarm is making left turns on a NASCAR track and is on lap 400 of 5.
Oh, now they got the webs on the Guardian. They may have found themselves an opportunity here.
Nah,
Starty.
Not gonna do anything.
But now we see the damage actually. Like they've chased the Zarm off, and they realized, oh, the Zarm is way over there now. Let's get those drones and let's get them on top of this Astarte while the Zarm's over there.
Yeah, it's like we're all right on top of it anyway. Zarm can't help it. Let's kill it.
Yep. And now the Zarm has realized I'm in a good position now to get fall. There's no fall off reps on Treg weapons. It's 1 rep range.
But he's got to get that thing spooled. He's got to get on it.
He's trying to, but there's. It's not going to spool quick enough, or is it? Or is it?
Look at Tusker's control bar, off the freaking charts here. Newts, webs, TDs, scrams, just paints, everything except ECM.
I think at one point, the control bar hit just over 1.75 times the size of the screen.
Look at that Guardian. That Nurgle being a champ, he locked his ass down and finished him off that spool damage. Just ripping him alive. Jugshot picking that up. Hold up, I'm going to rewind that just a tiny bit. Because, yeah, that Guardian was holding for a good little while. But he's got everything on him. Look at all that. That big old swarm of drones. The
if only that was realistic.
So now Tusker's in a really bad spot. Yeah, they got the Astarte, but they lost their Guardian, and that Zarm is still up, and they can't lock him down. The attrition war kicks in here, but they've got good shots on these and Fraternity now has the opportunities they've been waiting for.
Sentinels got a little bit greedy right there.
Mm-hmm. Trying to save their Guardian, buddy. This was the mistake that Fraternity was waiting for.
Some nuke pressure. Those Sentinels would try to put a little bit of nuke pressure, actually, on the Nurgle plus the Zarm. It was mainly the Nurgle, trying to get the Nurgle off the Guardian. They got a little bit greedy trying to do that, save their Guardian, and Well, you know, once again, like you're trying to utilize every ounce of your ship. You know what I mean? But sometimes survivability is a little bit more important sometimes.
But really great plays by Fraternity, flipping this back on Tuskers, putting them on the back heel. They're out of half of their E-War. They're about to lose their cure. It's tackled, it's neuted, or it's tackled, webbed, and nosed. Their flagship ain't going to do much because it's tackled as well. There is nothing here to save this cure.
You're looking at a Guardian down, too, so you got no one to save it other than maybe some rep drones. But when you're mainly relying on drones for damage, it's kind of hard to use rep bots.
Unfortunately, Copper is being kept away, and they're losing their exec navies, though, for this cure, and now looks to be the Vexor they're going for. No, they've switched to the flagship. All right, they're going on the flagship, but again, Copper in the Zarm is not close enough to keep his buddies alive.
I think the Zarm ran out of capsticks.
Oh yeah, he's not moving very fast anymore.
Nope, and
there he goes. He's picking up a little bit of speed.
He's just waiting. He's trying to cap boost. You know what I mean? He's out of cap, trying to cap boost to get back in there.
Now we're dead even, 32-32. Fraternity going all in seemingly on this flagship. If they can get this flagship off the grid, they do not have to see it for the remainder of the matches.
And they will most likely walk away with this match with a big victory, too. That's a lot of damage off grid, a lot of nuke pressure off the grid, a lot of control that's been causing them havoc this whole game.
But
the Zarm pilot's going to be the key. The Zarm pilot got to keep things up and keep himself alive the best he can right here. You know, they're barely breaking grid.
That armor bar is not moving on the Armageddon, and that Brutix is struggling. The Zarm's ramping up still, but oh gosh. All the nuke pressure on that Brutix. He has no hardeners. He has no way to assist himself. It's all on the Zarm to keep him alive.
Heat and belief. Heat and belief. That gun's dipping into like about 60% armor right about now.
I don't even feel like he's
every
even
time it goes into that, it just bounces
just
right back up.
Just trinkles back up a little bit. He pulses his Ansil one time.
If they can't break him now, are they going to be able to break him if this Brutix is dead? You know, then there's newts on the Absolution, by the way. That Absolution's newted out now.
So it's probably not even shooting.
Yeah, he's...
The Brutix may have been the only thing capable of firing at that point, other than the AUG Navy.
AUG Navy, Nurgle, that's not going to break up a flag.
They've given up on the flagship. They're switching to the Prophecy. They're like, oh crap, they may have overcommitted on that flagship.
Minute and 12 seconds left, and Tuskers is up by a solid 14, meaning you need to kill the Merm Navy at best, or a Prophecy, which they're shooting, plus one low-end ship.
So close.
Without losing anything, mind you. Oh, sorry, no, now they lost, no, so 18 points. You have to kill, you have to kill a Vexor and a Merm Navy to be even.
Or actually, at this point, if they kill the Vexor and the Crucifier, they win. But they only have 30 seconds.
Yes.
They've almost got the Vexor, 30 seconds. Come on, die faster. Must die faster. Because Tuskers really doesn't have a whole lot left either in terms of being able to clear what's left. All their damage is really in that Armageddon Navy, I feel.
You got.
They do have the
damage ships left.
Yeah,
but it's. You know, and here we go. You know, that Vexor's getting pretty low, and Tuskers doesn't have any logic, but you got to kill a Crucifier in a matter of 10 seconds.
3, 2, 1 time. And Fraternity, they tried so hard, but they lose on points, 45, and that last 3 points didn't get taken in time. But it was 50-45. Frat really giving it to them, but they made a critical error in going after that flagship. And it's such a hard choice, you know, because you
think you have the damage, you got to kill it when you do have the damage. You know, like there's a lot going through it. Do we have the damage to kill this?
Okay,
should we test its tank?
Where's the Zarm?
Like, is it too late?
Because here's where they're going after the Sentinels after killing the Guardian. Copper's up here. Well, the rest of them are all the way down here, probably 30 plus kilometers away. Copper's cut.
That's a whole arena, dude.
Yeah.
That's around 100 kilometers.
And then the big old blob of red in between Copper and his fleet, he's got to go the long way around to get back to his guys. So they're just going to be hemorrhaging until he can figure out how to get back to them. You know,
I was going to say, I saw this in an earlier match and someone pointed it out. One of the teams was just going to an MJD beacon and jumping into their own team again using Logi. Very underestimated tactic. He could have maybe done that, but Tuskers is closing that gap, getting those newts. You're jumping yourself into a position where you also could just get neuted.
Plus, we saw in the earlier match that once you tap that MJD beacon, you better be able to live for the 10 seconds it takes to spool that thing, because they're going to be able to hit you. Like, full power hit you. But yeah, that was such a tight match. We don't have to rewatch the whole thing. Like I said, I just wanted to...
So, to give an update, and this is off the top of my head, really, tell me if I'm wrong here, but Tuskers is now 2-0 and needs one match to win in a best of 5. Fraternity needing to win 3 matches in a row to secure an AT win for them for the first time, and Tuskers needing 1 match to secure their second AT win of all time.
Both teams still
With
having
that said,
access to their flagships.
Both teams having flagships as well. But Tuskers can no longer bring Eos, Ishtar, Vexor Navy, Ishkur, Hyena, Geddon Navy, Guardian, Merm Navy, Merm, Prophecy, Sentinel, Core, Vexor, or Crucifier. None of those ships are available to them, plus whatever Fraternity bans. Tuskers will be unable to bring, I believe, 24 ships in their next match and have to pick around all of those.
Now, if Tuskers loses this match, do they get those ships back, or are they banned permanently until the final match if it comes to 5?
They're banned permanently until the final match. So let's say Fraternity turns around and says, hey, you guys have 24 ships that you're not allowed to bring to grid. And we only are banned out from 4, or whatever trickles end up happening, blah, blah, blah. But 4, let's say, for this instance. Tuskers still can only can't bring any of those ships in the trickle bans. But you would add trickles to Fraternity, though. So Fraternity would start adding that big list of ships if they turn around and were able to secure a match 3 victory. And that would all get reset. The only time a reset happens is in the final game of a best of. So if it's in a best of 3... trickle bans would not happen in the last game of a best of 3, as well as a last game of a best of 5.
So going into match 3, Tuskers have opted to go with pretty much what they were fighting against, it seems like. Obscure Navies, Brutix, Harbinger, Prophecy, looking like that projection comp, banning out Arbitrator, Pilgrim, Curse, and Sentinel. What do these things have in common? TDs. They don't want to see a single TD on this grid if they can get away with it, which makes sense considering their damage type. Fraternity bringing out the Balgorn and probably me and Chad's favorite ship in this format, the Vindicator. I know it's probably my favorite ship.
That's your favorite ship, right? It's the Vindicator? And they're pairing the Vindicator with my favorite ship, the Balgorn.
This is a beautiful combo if you guys don't know it. The Vindicate, they both have bonuses to webs. The Vindicator can stop you damn near to a freaking halt if it gets 1 web on you. It's like a 90% web with max stats. What does the Balgorn get with its webs?
Range to webs. It's double the web range of a normal web, right? But here's one thing I will point out that I am a little bit sussed out about, right? If you're running good webs on the Vindicator, you can run officer webs if it's a flagship, which this is a flagship.
This is a flagship
Vindicator.
Vindicator.
You can technically get Vindicator webs to go out just as far as Balgorn webs in this format. But you have to spend 100 billion to do that.
And then looking at the rest of Fraternity's comp, it looks like it's pretty much set up to support the Vindicator. You've got the double Blackbird to just cause all kinds of havoc with jams, making sure nothing can get truly focused as long as they're doing their job. Megagus Pontifex providing you with solid links and screening capability. Curie's giving you those really important damps to force the enemy to get closer, which the Vindy needs. It's a blaster boat. it can't shoot more than about 10 feet in front of its face, and I know it can shoot further than that, but it really wants to be right up close and hug you. And that's what the carries kind of enables here.
Here's something I want to ask an opinion from Gita here. This is, to a degree, a form of B-War. Opinions on it.
Nah,
B-War?
this is just an Apex flag comp. They're hiding the
Well, yeah,
behind
it ends
the
up being
war.
an Apex flag comp, but it's still, like, to a slight degree a form of B.
What,
But it's more
you can
based
make
on
that
the high
argument,
end.
but it's like, it's very simple. I would say, like, extremely standard. You have your double battle ship, you have the Balcon, which I don't actually like in this comp, but it works perfectly against the max threat, so I'm guessing there's some kind of a read there. But you got the double Blackbird, you got the Guardian, and you have the Keros, because if you're gonna bring ECM, you always bring damps, like you always pair those up. If you bring ECM without damps, you're feeding. Like, please,
I don't think it's feeding, but I will say, like,
no, that's feeding.
if
Like,
you
should
don't
just
bring
leave.
the damps, like, the damps upgrade that to a point where it's the most annoying thing in the world. Versus if you don't bring it, you better have a damn good reason not to.
Yeah,
like, I still think you're better off.
If you're running
just
double
bringing
Blackbird,
them.
you have to bring some sort of damp. You can't bring the double Blackbird without a damp.
No, there's people I know who did, and it is a lot easier to counter if you don't bring the damps. It's, I don't think it's a it's not a make or break, but it's one of those things where it's like, there's a lot of weaknesses not having the damps, and making the damps in there turn something that's like, that's all right, to like, this is actually something that's great.
You're spending 14 points and 2 cruiser slots on the Blackbirds.
Mhm.
You need to get as much value from that as you can, which means you need to bring damps. For it to be actually useful.
Just noting the parity from last match. Okay, so the last match, look at Tuskers' control bar versus Fraternity's, and then this match, it's like completely flipped. You know, Fraternity has all the control. Tuskers relying on their slightly bigger defense bar and attack bars here. Because, okay, so the purple is active reps, right?
Yes.
Purple is
okay. So Tuskers has got more hit points. Fraternity's got more active. Well, we can't. We don't know what Tuskers. It may be going off the edge here, but it appears that Fraternity has more. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I think this was like very well thought out best of 5 from Tuskers, because basically they take the 2 wins using only drones, which leaves a lot of stuff open.
Mm-hmm.
It did. They left their shield open. Yeah. They left the full shield open. They left this open. The max threat setups are all open. The fly killers, kiting comps, a lot of things were left open for them, which once again I think really shows Tuskers' maturity. They've been here so many times. They understand it inside and out and what they need to do to get, good comps on grid. I'm sure they were looking at like, hey, round 1, this is our best drone comp. Round 2, this is our weaker drone comp, but we'll pair it with a flagship. Round 3, we're going to bring what the meta seems to be this year and see if we just execute, against this Fraternity team. Fraternity, cornered into a wall, brought out what I think they thought was their best comp in this.
Damn good looking comp. If it's not their best comp, it's definitely their backup best comp.
It is one of their best comps, and they like Jitta said, it's an apex around their flagship. It's meant to be flown with a flagship. They're backed against a corner. Fly your flagship. So that's
all
or
nothing. If they lose this one, they're out.
Basically, Tuskers have created a situation where Frat has to guess correctly what they're gonna bring.
Yep.
Which is huge. Like, if they make a bad decision, they lose the tournament. Essentially, they have to like correctly predict what Tuskers are gonna bring in the next 2 matches.
And you know what else I really like too? The comp Tuskers has brought works pretty well against most anything that Frat brings. I'm sure Tuskers knew they were going to bring that flag Vindicator to some degree and thought, you know what? Once again, we just execute this comp. It's not a hard comp to run. We just execute it really well, which really makes it even more difficult. There's so much damage that we could shoot through whatever they bring anyways. So I really like Tuskers' strategy for this best of 5 for match 3.
All right. So match starting. Drones out from the Tuskers. Got the jams, TDs on the important DPS ships, damps on the smaller end DPS ships, force them in. Blackbird's starting to get hit. And that's why they want the damps on the Excures, because those are the things that can actually kill the Blackbirds. These things are going to have a harder time applying, so that's why the jams are on them. And then getting those TDs out.
I think they did a really good job splitting the E-War properly. Like, you know, hey, we'll put jams on the battle cruisers, which are going to have the farther range. Put the damps on the ENIs, which are going to have the shorter lock range. And we'll put TDs on the battle cruisers, which are probably going to have the harder... Like, ENIs have really good range, so they put the tracking on the upper battle cruisers as well with the jams. Like, hey, if a jam doesn't hit, we at least have a backup E-War on those.
Now the
like,
Balgorn nukes
Frat
coming
did a
out.
good job locking down how they wanted their E-War and really held to it the whole match.
Yeah, maxed out E-War bar already. How long did it take them to get that thing maxed out? 30
Instantly.
seconds. 30 seconds and look at that E-War bar.
Also, I thought Frat did a really good job with the Vindy and Valgorn getting webs. Look at all that web spread between the Val and the Vindy getting webs on whatever they want to get webs on really quickly. Like, they closed the gap fast using that Confessor, Magus, and Ponti for tackle, allowing the Bal and Vindy to choose what they wanted to web, and then move those targets onto the next target to hold down the entire Tuskers team, it looks like, at this point.
An interesting thing. I think that Keres is fit with the Scram.
It is.
Yes.
Not the first time I've seen it. So
they
yeah,
try...
the Vindy over there just destroying that ENI.
Fraternity getting exactly the fight they want. Everything is right on top of that Vindicator.
Yep, they did, like I said, good job getting webs on stuff and holding stuff down, not allowing Tuskers to really split up very well.
Just pause it for a second. Look at the speeds here on everything that's got a web on it. 80, 80, 90. Those things are going nowhere.
That's one Vindy web, mind you.
One Vindy web
with their
each.
Props on.
And he's probably only got two, right? So that's the Balgorn also thrown in on that.
Let me find out. I think he did only have two.
Yeah. Because I remember the fit. We'll talk about that after. Both exec navies, oh god. I mean, they're on the low end, but they're so important for taking off the enemy low end. Losing those is not a good thing. Especially when all you got for it was a crucifier. Sure, you got some of the crucifier wasn't really doing much in the way of E-War, was it? Or is it another damp boat?
That was all. That was a lot
the
of the weapon
TDs. That was
disruptors.
that was the TDs. Okay, so they got rid of the TDs, but it cost them 2 mainline DPS ships. Their augers.
Well, they tackled the Guardian.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Where's the Guardian? Right up
Dying
here.
like a bitch.
Yeah, Copper got caught this time. He ain't in that Zarm that's really fancy at running away.
Yeah, that Zarm pilot did such a good job last match, and then kind of felt like he committed a little hard in on this one.
Yeah, Fraternity had a good thing going, but now they're
close.
Yeah, it was looking bad for Tuskers, but then they get that Guardian and seal it back up. Even if they lose this Brutix Navy, I still think it's worth it if they can keep their auger alive.
Blackbirds.
Yeah.
You're killing Blackbirds now. You're getting rid of all that E-War. You got rid of the Crucifier. You got rid of the, Guardian. Now you're going to get rid of both the Blackbirds. I'm sure they got webs on the Carace now as well. Like, you're getting rid of all the E-War of this comp. You're going to bring it down to a
Vindicator needs to be hitting
Balgorn.
harder. Please hit harder, Vindy.
Heat and pray to the 1v1.
So you got the Brutix, but they're losing they lost a Blackbird. Their carries is getting slowed down with a web. It may be on next on the chopping block.
Confessor, they're one of their tackle boats with some with some fair DPS on this grid, going down as well. Blackbird going down. They're losing a lot of ships quick.
Blackbird's got all the drones on him, plus he is within range of what the remaining DPS.
Guess what? Vindy's, there was webs on the Augur a second ago, and they just fell off randomly, it seems.
Yeah, Fabuki's...
He's going down.
I wonder if he's having capacitor issues.
This is what's really interesting, right? Right now, the Vindy is going for the Augur, and the Balgorn's on the other side of the grid, webbing down the Harb Navy and the Og Navy.
Pause it. Oh, yeah, right there.
This is a point right now, right, where Fubuki Waifu and the Flag Vindicator is realizing, when I web down, we shoot. The Balgorn, you will just hold things for me to come to later. We need to kill as much stuff as possible. We are losing everything. Our links are going to go down here in a minute. And we still have to deal with a Mauler, Confessor, Navy Og, Navy Harb, Navy Prof, Absolution. That's a lot of damage still on that grid. A lot of ships splitting that damage. They got a lot to deal with. So they need to get as many targets held down as possible. The Bal has a little bit extra range than the Vindy, Vindy being blasters. So the Vindy's going to go web targets. And the Bal's going to shoot what the Vindy's on, and the Bal's just going to control whatever it can, while the Vindy goes and does Vindicator things. So, pointing out they just started doing that, and I think commentators as well as the background channels were like screaming to make sure they were doing that, and they executed that right here. But is it going to pay off is the question.
Maybe too little too late. They're losing all the support ships, and Vindicator with no support ships is not very dangerous. All right, we got webs on Og Navy and Prof Navy. Yeah. All right, so Fubuki coming in on the Balgorn's target, working on that Harb Navy, while the Balgorn moves to the next target, the Prof Navy. Chunk, 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 chunk. Come on. Oh, hit harder, Vindy. Must hit harder. Must hit harder.
And this is where Tusker says we have to kill this Flag Vindy, but we have enough damage on grid. Even if we lose the match and take out a Flag Vindicator here, Fraternity will be without a flag, and we will have ours still and be up 2-1 in the series. So they're going for the flagship kill because they have nothing to lose, being up 2-0 right now, and they still have a good amount of damage on grid. But Fraternity actually has more damage in those two battleships.
Okay, that logic there I understand. Was there no way to get the Balgorn?
No, they could have went for the Balgorn. I think this was a choice by Tuskers. Hey, if we kill the Vindicator and win the match, we win and get Vindicator loot. If we kill the Vindicator and lose the match, they have to win 2 more matches in a row without a flagship while we have our flagship.
Exactly.
So, if you kill it, big win. If you don't kill it, you're still up 2-1 and only need to win 1 match, and they need to win 2.
But here's a $1 million question. Can they actually kill it? Because he's still got
4 minutes left and a lot of ships on grid doing good damage. It's just a matter of
anything that gets close enough to kill him, he's going to be able to just turn back and love tap like he's doing to this Absolution right now.
The Vindy's on the Absolution. The Bal's shooting the Absolution. The Bal has 2 newts and a Nas on the Prophecy Navy. Prof's not even shooting. He's not even shooting anymore. He just stopped shooting.
Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. I love the way blaster fire looks. All these drones on the Vindy, though. Whew. Another ship down. Yeah. Now for the Prof Navy. Come on. No. Oh, no, he's going for the Og Navy. He's switching to the Og Navy because it's right there on top of him. Why not?
The Tuskers team has decided to stop pulling range and went all in on the brawl. Load Conflag and Heat to break this Vindicator.
Yeah, they know they've lost the match. Now they need to. So now they're securing an advantage for next matches.
They're trying to secure as much of an advantage. Is this Flag Vindy going to hold? Rep, Flag Vindy, rep.
Flag Vindy is probably out of capsticks. It can only fit 5 in the cargo.
Ghosty, I'm sending you the Z-Kill so you could pull it up on stream.
Okay.
I think the Vindy fit was good.
Yeah, disagree.
It looks a
And here
little
we see-
like they were dealing
Is
with what they
this
could
Vindy
get
gonna
their
live?
hands
Look
on.
at him. He's barely alive. He's barely alive. Is he inching his reps? Is he inching? Mother goes down.
So even, I mean, they got the win, but this Vindy really needs to live. 2
Survive
minutes.
for the next matches. Survive for the next matches, because
Might as well.
Vindy's. If you have a flagship, Conquest bans don't screw your flagship.
There was a lot of yelling on the
Rip.
channel we were on.
Rip.
No way. No
Down.
way.
Flagship down. Oh no, not like
Well,
this.
here's the issue: is can a Prof Navy kill a Belgrun in 1 minute and 30 seconds when it's been getting nuded out for 3.5 minutes straight? That Belgrun splitting with the Vindicator, to really just lock down as many targets as possible, to try and win on points. Like, that was really good communication by those 2 battleship pilots, and they did a really good job executing that. And this is just cleanup for this point as Fraternity takes match 3, and it is 2-1. And Fraternity now has gained Conquest bans and can no longer bring Balgorn, Vindicator, Guardian, Blackbird, and that low-end shit that Ghosty covered up. Now, mind you, Gita, that Vindicator did not have a single rep on it.
No, it did not.
So I was not a fan of that at all.
Like I said, I wonder.
I thought it was trash, actually, because why are you running hardeners? You could get more HP out of 2 multi-specs than fucking hardeners.
So just looking over that, they did have the officer webs, although they weren't the same kind. I'm guessing those were just whatever they could get their hands on. Capsticks.
That was the 2 and 3 web, so like the second best and the third best.
I like the webs, I like the mids. I do like the lows, because the one big advantage the hardness have compared to multispec is the fact that you can heat them, and you can pretty much heat them the whole match.
But you sacrificed a whole reactive, so like in the end of that match, everything was laser damage. Everything was laser damage. So
Which
like,
means
cool, you can heat your one hardener. Also, they use the rigs for more resistances.
Could they not have gotten better guns at all?
I don't disagree with the choice. Like, I guess the biggest point of discussion is the choice between no rep and rep. I can understand making that decision, and I don't hate it. Like,
I don't hate it, but I feel like if you went with that, maybe run 1 plate, or not run 1 plate, maybe run 2, but also like maybe you actually get better resistances. Like you said, you can heat. That's the only difference. But if you went double multi-spec and a reactive, your resistance profile is basically the same. You just don't get to heat, but you get a reactive.
Yeah, but heating is huge. And
but so is a reactive, though. So is a reactive.
Also, officer blasters just suck.
Hey, I enjoyed my officer blasters.
I bet.
Why do they suck?
It's just you don't really get anything from them, and they're expensive.
Here's the answer to that, Ghosty. I owned a set of officer Cormac's Electrons and Cormac Ions. Cormac Ions do around the same DPS as T2 Neutrons do, but just save you fitting space. That's it. Like, you're not gaining so much DPS out of them that they're amazing. You're just like, you can run Ions and get fitting space for the same damage as T2 Neutrons, but then you're spending fucking 50 billion ISK to do that. That's not worth it to a lot of people. To me, I was just like, fuck it, I have ISK. You know, I don't give a shit as I fund
what about
my
faction guns?
200 billion ISK flagships.
Maybe not purple guns,
damage.
but faction guns.
You lose a lot of damage using faction guns.
You lose damage on faction guns, yeah.
Bungie seems to think
you gain fitting.
More.
You do gain fitting, which you don't need.
You gain a lot of fitting.
Oh, no, never mind. I misread it. I misread what Bungie said. Never mind. He said T2 do more damage than faction. Okay.
Yes, which is correct. So Vindy has like excellent fitting anyway. Like you do have to make some
If you're tight
choices.
on fitting, it's fine. If you're tight on fitting, right, and you're going for like, let's say, a double rep plus a plate, like a really tanky, almost like bait tank fit, and you don't care as much about damage, then maybe you could get away with something like that. Sacrifice a little damage to really just tank. But like, it's how you really want your flagship to perform, right? And like I said, the reason I don't fully hate Fubuki's fit is because the way he was running it, a lot of his matches was not in your face brawl. It was like, dude, like 2 of the matches, dude was loading null and shooting at 20, and just doing good damage by using those 2 mag stabs, you know. So like, I think he did a fair job with the fitting for what he wanted. I would not run one like that, personally, ever.
I do like the fit. I actually do like the fit. It's very competent.
It's how he wants it. I still think, like, I personally think reactives, especially with the meta being so heavily on, like, the gunboats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Also,
again,
like, if you're running a flag, reppers.
Also, can we mention the lack of a second officer mag stab? I wonder if that was just an availability issue. Seeing as they had one, I imagine they would have put the second if they had it.
It could have been a fitting change
room.
also.
Fitting room.
Like, there's good chance that they had a rep instead of that max stab, because it's a faction. They just bought the faction for this match.
I mean, obviously, I'm not looking at the fit 100%, but there also could be a CPU issue where they needed to get like 2 CPU difference, and the Federation versus the officer isn't like absurd either.
By the way, the officer webs take a lot of fitting space, in case you didn't know. Or anyone didn't know.
Don't fucking remind me about that. Mm-hmm. That's the whole reason I went with the Cormac Ions, was because I was having a fitting issue. And it was like, I could run T2 Neutrons, but I have fitting problems, so I'm just going to run T2 the Cormac Ions and get the same results as fucking T2 Neutrons, but have the fitting room to fit my, well, not going to say what web I put on there, but let's just say it wasn't cheap.
I mean, you guys saw our Black Windy.
Yeah, it was... I had 2 purple webs, and they were not the fucking cheap ones.
Yeah, we had 1. And we had 2 Cormac max stabs, but we changed the fit for the match to have 2 plates. Which is whatever.
Yeah, I definitely spent some iskies on the webs. That was where all my money was, man.
I think, like, the obvious biggest problem with the Windy is the weakness of blasters and just the absolute lack of range.
Hey, my courtmate looked at me and said, "Why aren't you putting rails on the flag, Vinny?" And I said, "You can go fuck yourself."
Did you slap him? Like, you deserve to be slapped.
I told him to go fuck himself. I literally said that to him. He's a good bro, but I was like, dude, you're fucking stupid. Like, the whole goal of the Vindicator is to utilize those webs, and if they're in web range, they're in blaster range.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly.
No,
Do not cheap out on your webs.
I would absolutely love to be able to fit rails on a Windy, but it just, you can't. Like, the fitting doesn't allow that.
Ask Mirror Chief how to do it. Mirror Chief did it back in AT-15 or 16 or something like that. From Tuskers. Fed a rail Vindicator and brought it on grid and fucking won easy. It was the greatest moment ever, because it's like, this shouldn't happen kind of thing.
Yeah.
We should give the Vindy ship a plus 50% blaster range on TQ. No, I think it's kind of broken enough already.
Listen, the null range actually on a Vindy isn't horrible. It's not horrible.
You know, I need to build a Vindy for the Warzone now that advanced sites are more prevalent.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Why not?
Because listen, if I could give you one reason, I'll name 2 ships, and you can tell me if you like this, okay? Ready? Pilgrim, Marshall.
Okay, but I'll put it in Hades, and it never leaves Hades, okay? It'll never leave Hades.
Marshall is the worst combat blobs in the game.
Hey, no one cares about how good it is. It's all about how big your eggplant is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right. I'll accept the polarized Marshall.
Redeemers?
Oh, I like the Redeemer. Redeemer's my favorite out of all of them. But I have a Marshall just because I like to look cool.
All right. moving forward.
Here's match.
Yeah, match 4. So Fraternity won the last match, but at what cost? They're down their flagship, and now they're starting to stack those additional bans, the Conquest bans. They cannot fly anything they flew in the last match, so no more Balgorns, no more Blackhawks, no more fun.
Blackhawks, what?
They had the jams, right?
Blackhawks have jams?
What did I say?
Blackhawks have jams?
What's a Blackhawk?
Yeah, what's a Blackhawk?
Is it like a jamming Nighthawk?
Yeah, is it a jamming Nighthawk?
Blackbird, sorry.
There we go.
You don't... You know I'm stupid.
Yes, Chug
You
Shot.
know what I meant.
The skins.
No,
But,
we
yeah,
don't.
so there's no Bals, no Vindies, no Guardians, no Blackbirds, no Crucifiers. None of that shit.
Yeah.
Which I think was interesting because I just turned around and got a Navy Redeemer with a Abaddon, which I thought was really cool if they catch a Scorpion kind of thing, which Tuskers brought this really top-end heavy Scorpion comp.
I like Scorpions.
Which I like because they ran this earlier. So as we were saying earlier, J1tah, they left this open for themselves too if it did go to match 4. Like, they really did, like, full-heartedly plan match 1, 2, 3, 4 to a T, no matter where it went.
I think actually this is where they started to break down a bit. Like this is.
Well, they ran this comp earlier in the day. This was a fair comp.
They ran it against Hydra.
No, they ran it against. They ran the drone comp against Hydra and beat them.
Yeah.
They ran this against. I think this was up against. This was up against a gunboat team. Was it fucking Henley Village?
Could be. But yeah, I feel like this Scorpion comp has like a more narrow win profile compared to some of the other stuff we've seen and which is open.
It's all about we have tank. It's all about we have tank.
Yeah,
That's
but you might be facing like what they actually are. Laser triple battleship. But yeah,
I think
feel like
Frat got a good draw here. I think Frat got a really good draw here.
Which is exactly what I'm like talking about. That has like a more narrow win condition than some of the other comps they could have brought.
Well, mind you, you know they could have brought Shield Kite, Shield Rush. They could have brought Kingslayer. They could have brought Fly Killer. They could have brought, but I think like Fly Killer wouldn't work to begin with.
I think Frat was expecting some kind of a Kingslayer with Barghest.
I think that might be expected.
Yeah.
Which also I think they could have.
Which will be able to tank it. So like,
I also think that they could have been expecting to see that gunboat set up again and had like we have the beef, you know. But still, I'd have loved to have seen the Kingslayer, like you said. That would have been.
And Fraternity is running a Kingslayer, right?
No, there's not a single rapid heavy ship on that grid.
Okay, never mind. Just seems like they have high pinpoint DPS.
We have the beef confirmed.
Yeah, I would have liked a more versatile comp from Tuskers in this, actually.
I don't hate this comp by any means.
Well,
I just don't like it in this position that they're in.
Like, just throw something that has high chance of winning against like many comps.
So
yeah,
stuff
I agree.
Scatters.
You're in a situation where if you lose this match, you go to the best of 5. Everyone's unlocked from their conquest bans. You know, it's a match where you kind of want to close it out here. You don't want to risk it, kind of thing. And this is an interesting decision. Once again, Mirror Chief, though, known for these kind of things.
Very little control coming out from either. Go ahead.
The exhaustion and the fatigue was starting to kick in for both teams, actually. But I think Frat maybe handled it better.
Which is weird because
when you look at the final match.
But I think that Tuskers you should think Tuskers would have more of an advantage, you know, with best of 3 fatigues and stuff like that, best of 5 fatigues. Immediately though, like Frat just pounced on that Scorp Navy and just wants to do max damage.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this is the 7th match Tuskers are playing in a row, basically.
Yeah, yes, there was one break for an hour they got.
Yeah, but you have to like build the comms and do the stuff.
That
Oh
Oracle
yeah, I'm
got
sure
lit
they
up.
were already
Yeah.
planning during that hour. They didn't get no rest time. It was, back to back to back to back, and I'm sure fatigue hits them more than Frat, around this point. But once again, they're more used to this, so I'm sure fatigue's hitting for both teams pretty evenly right about now. But
Tuskers.
Frat just came off of a nice win, so I'm sure that, give them that
Ooh,
little
that
revamp,
Oracle.
surgence of energy.
So
Yeah.
Tuskers opening up on the easiest kill, the Oracle. High DPS, but paper thin, if anybody's had any experience with the ship.
They also just threw other drones on the low end T1 frigates brought by both teams. Very squishy.
Mm-hmm. That's all they'll really need to kill him, But they're putting out some webs on him. The Scorp Navy
But
is
that's
getting
not
pressured.
a very healthy Scorp, and the other Scorp's caught,
Yep.
Those Scorps got caught hella quick, by the way.
Yeah, look how fast they get chunked once that shield is gone. Oh!
There were no prop, right?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, an Oracle
I saw
for Scorp Navy is not a good
burning
trade.
back to an MJD beacon early in that match, and just got caught. Like, I don't know what the the Jag and Flycatcher, but I feel like the screening could have been maybe a little better if those are actually prop fit, which I'd hope they are.
And the Vexer's doing Vexer things, getting that second Scorpion lockdown, starting to drain its cap with the Redeemer.
Here's an interesting note by Jugshot in the channel. Why is the Scorpions not getting repped, and why is the Skybreaker, Jag, and Flycatcher getting repped and not the Scorps?
Because the Burst and the Phantom are a Tech 1 Logifrix, they cannot go near that Navigator and the Redeemer. Like, they just can't exist within that nude range.
Basically,
So
but you're still depending on these Scorps. I'd rather just fucking say fuck the 2 T1 Logi frigates and try to do the best you can to save a Scorpion. At this point, you almost have to say I don't give a shit about these two ships.
I mean, once the Scorps die, you're basically flying a kiting comp with the Claymores.
Yeah, which I think actually works out to be not god-awful, but...
So they just need to get enough value for those Scorps and then transition to a kite comp.
Which is,
Which they may be. They got the Deemer. They got the Deemer, the Logi, and the Oracle. So that's a lot of damage and utility off the grid. But they still got to deal with 2 battleships and a pair of Vexer navies.
And an Omen.
Mm-hmm.
That's damage, too.
And the
Like,
Bifrost.
Tusker's comp's a little more rounded out, it feels like. But, like, Frat's comp is just, like, we still have what we want to have to kill you.
Vexer Navy's holding down the next kill. Looks like the Skybreaker. Pop the Skybreaker. Looks like the Flycatcher's next. They're going to end up trading both VNIs for this pair of kills.
Yeah, and
But if
once
they can
again,
get enough...
now that Tuskers Wings team diving in to allow separation, I don't know, like you said, it almost feels like they didn't get a good job at doing that for the Scorps, even if they're propless, like you just get something off of them.
More and more
Frat
damage
up a little better.
gone from the Tuskers. Yeah, we're trading VNIs, but you still got 2 battleships to work with. Just kill enough damage and to where they can't kill the battleships.
If I'm not mistaken, Fraternity has put rep bots on that Vexer. Once again, a thing that was really discussed was teams who run and don't run rep bots. Rep bots were a thing that was winning matches. I don't have the perfect statistics, but if you run rep bots, you actually had a really higher win rate than not rep bots. But now those claimers are just in kite mode. 5 minutes to just try and clear up this grid and hope you do not get caught. The only things quick enough to catch them are the Omen and the Vexer. Everything else is pretty damn slow.
Freaking Omen trucking it at 3K.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can kill all the mid and low end from Frat and not lose a ship, they win.
Yeah. Well, you don't forget the time-wise is you can't lose anything. Because don't forget 2 battleships and points is quite a lot of points. So you got to really not lose your stuff and kill the entire low end.
Those claymores are 19 each. So if you have
Yeah,
the
so
claymores and a
1921
jag,
though
you win.
versus 1919. So you have to keep one thing alive.
No, you have to keep the jag or the storm alive. And you have to kill everything else.
Yeah. So like I said, those frigates are meaningless in my opinion. As I'm going to quote Basilisk, those meaningless frigates that I pretend not to see. But so far they're doing a pretty good job trying to pull back.
I gotta pause for a second. So Jug is saying that Logi bots win matches unless they have a Skybreaker, Stormbreaker. Tuskers has both.
Yeah. And
also, I mean, yeah.
And the Logi bots are still doing their thing.
Well, they're just throwing Logi bots out as much as they can, but now that they're cleared off, that
it's
Vexor's
like, did they
dying.
put any damage drones in those Vexors or anything at all?
Yeah, there's damage drones, but you have enough drone bay to throw a full set of rep bots in there easily. So you got to kill those rep bots off, which they just did, and now the Vexor will die. Which is taking a while. I wonder if they clipped at this point because he's regenerating shields.
He jumped.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did jump right here. He jumped out of the range of their missiles and repositioned. That's a really good play by him in that case. Now you got to panic to find another target. Maybe you go for the Omen and the Bifrost or something, whatever's closest. But they're shooting an Abaddon, which I found to be questionable. But
I mean, if they can kill the Abaddon, yeah.
And that Vex, and you take another MJD just to get even safer. Just stay alive.
Yeah, let me just MJD around the arena like 6 times in a row until my shields regen.
To be honest, shooting the Abaddon is worse than shooting the Navigator.
And
some ways safer.
They kept the Claymore and Jaguar MJD to the Vexor Navy, but he's still going. Oh crap!
Yep, they're clearing off those Logi frigs that I don't care about at all. What are you doing, Ghosty?
Clicked the wrong thing. It's okay.
This is really tense at this point.
Yeah, like I said, this is a must-win, in my opinion, must-win match for Tuskers because you're going on 6. This is 6 matches in a row. Do you want a 7th? And then dropping 2 in a row. That's a big momentum switch right there. And you hope that you pull this back. They're doing a really good job executing, but those nukes just laying on the Stormbringer. Stormbringer's nuked by the gun, and he's slowing down, trying to truck out of range, but.
DSP is dead.
Forgive that. That was just a glitch. That was just my desktop and my daughter.
But they're getting this Vexor Navy down. Now we're down to 1:40, and they got to kill an Omen Navy and a Bifrost and not lose the Jag at this point, basically, because the Stormbringer is going to die.
Damn.
Now they're painting the Omen. They're going for the Omen. Minute 15. Can they kill an Omen and a Bifrost in a minute, basically, without losing their Jag or Claymores?
I mean, they're not going to lose the Claymores or the Jag.
No, you'd hope not. It's just a matter of can they kill shit.
If they can kill it.
Bird in there and tackle that damn fucking one of the two, Bifrost or something with that Jag. It's not going to die. You got the ADC plus your local rep. I'd hope you're running a local answer.
Yeah, the Jag has to live, doesn't it? I'm doing the math in my head. They could lose the burst, but they can't lose the Jag.
God.
As long as they get those two.
Tell me the burst has a scram on it. But they're not doing a good job killing this Omen quick enough. And they switch off to the Bifrost quickly.
But they're shooting both. They're splitting.
20 seconds.
Just trying to get everything off grid that they can to win.
Yeah, just not enough time. If they had like a minute more, they would have won.
Yeah. And once again, this comes down to those, hey guys, if we heated 1% more here, and whether it's a harden or a gun, if we
heated 1% less on another match. The match where they wouldn't have been in this position if they hadn't burnt out their guns, and then this position they should have burnt their guns a little harder.
They didn't burn their guns out.
Was it the Typhoon? Who
that
was that?
Hidden Leaf.
Oh, that was Hidden Leafs. Gotcha.
That was day 3. That was not even.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now we are at 4-4, or four games, and it's 2-2. Conquest bans are gone. Anything is bringable again by all teams. Winner of this match is the winner of your Alliance Tournament 19.
And another point, this is the first time it's gone to 5 in what, like 2 or 3 years at least? Like,
I know that last year it was 3-0 Truth Honor Light over Odin's. Year before, I think they fucking 3-0'd as well. So back-to-back winners, Truth Honor Light and whatnot. So I don't know about years prior, but I know the last at least 2 were not to 5. Like they're 3-0s.
So this final match, Tuskers, again, since this is the 5th match, all those conquest bans have been eliminated. They're allowed to bring everything back. And it looks like they're trying to bring back that drone comp they took in match 1, except Fraternity banned the EOS, so they're replacing them with Myrmidons. And they chose to ban the Blackbird, the Zarm. They definitely don't want
they got rid of all T2 Logis and a Blackbird. And then the other team got rid of all Shield Logi that's actually good for cruisers. And an EOS Bargust, and
I think
when I saw Tuskers land this comp on grid, I fucking cried like a bitch.
And then Fraternity.
I did not think this was a good endgame comp.
And then Fraternity rocking the Shield missile comp, Double Nighthawk, Loki. This is a ham comp, right?
Yeah, this is a ham rush against a T1 style drone comp.
All right. Before we play this match, I want to do one more poll. I want to see, you guys have seen 4 matches thus far. And this is for the people who have not watched this tournament, don't know who's going to win. If you have watched it, please do not spoil it. But I want to know who thinks who is going to win. Who will win? Right. Tuskers.
Just going to point out this being discussed in the chat. The reason those Logi frigates, I mean, I still think they probably should have committed, just like because they're worthless anyways, in my opinion. But, if you go in that area and they put newts on you, you can cap boost and then you get neuted again. So those are spread newts out, and you got to try to juggle your cap boosting between the newts. You might only get 1 or 2 rep cycles off. Plus, being T1, your reps are already garbage as hell, and the range is not even existent. So you might get a few reps off, but if you're thinking long term for the match, you're sacrificing yourself 100% guaranteed for very little value from those frigates. I mean, they're only worth 1 point. Their value's not huge anyways. So like it's a moral debate of, hey, if we save someone later in the match, you know what I mean, use those reps later in the match more effectively, is it going to help us more to do that, or is it going to help us more to burn in towards a Scorpion and, get neuted by these battleships that have bonus newts? You're going to have 4 or 5 heavy newts coming in on you, cycled not at the same time, so you're going to cap boost, and then your cap's going to be gone after you cycle 1 set of reps, and you're going to be basically cycling 1 set of reps every 30 seconds, and that's it. So it's a moral conflict thing, is do you need to save the Scorpion, or do you need to just like hold back a second and use those reps later, or you're going to be able to.
Just an efficiency thing. Like, do you want to sacrifice 2 points for nothing?
Jug, here's another thing. There's only 10 ships on grid. You're in a battleship, you can lock the whole grid, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Off the gate, you're locking 8 targets, you know what I mean?
You should be filling your locks as well. Like, a lot of...
Yeah, you fill your locks.
Battleship pilots do it.
You fill your locks, and, like, the Logi is something you want to nuke, you're going to have them locked, so...
Okay. Twitch is telling me we just hit an ad break, so I'm going to wait to start this until that's done.
That's beautiful timing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. I got to check my phone. I'm getting texts, and I'm not answering them. I'm such a bad person.
Everybody take 50 seconds. Go get a drink. Use the bathroom real fast. Once we're back from the ad break, I will start this.
the shit? Oh man, all those wing videos and my CEO's eating hot wings because of all the wing videos that we saw from the Hot Ones
Oh
interviews.
yeah, if you missed it, they were doing the hot wing challenge while answering questions. Who suffered the worst, do you think?
I
I only saw a handful of them.
I'm between Mystical Might and
He was sweating so
and
much.
Overload.
Fucking-
I thought it was hilarious watching fucking Swift just like dogging through wings. Like
yeah,
it
he
was
didn't even
nothing.
care. Like, do you got more?
Zealous looked like he was like in a weird spot with him. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think I saw his. I saw Swift's, I saw Mike's, and I saw
did
Mark.
you see Overloads?
I don't think I saw Overloads, no.
His was the fucking like day one. He was like crying after 2 wings, basically.
I'm gonna have to go back and look that up.
It was there was I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the little thing they did there. It's nice being in the background. Like, this was when I got invited to the Discord for production team. It was one of the first things that were kind of being talked about. Was like, let's do interview Hot One like remix, and I'm like, oh, if I was there, that'd have been the funnest shit ever. And then I didn't know if it was gonna be videotaped like that though. I think they did a really good job. I thought the production team, did a stellar job this year from being in the background for the first time, seeing like all the actual shit that goes into it.
Mhm.
Like, they deserve so much of a damn shout out. It's not even funny.
Yeah, you guys did it. Glitches aside, I am well
What
versed
glitches?
Yeah, I mean, there were problems, obviously, but that's the nature of doing shit
Listen, no
live.
one wants to hear a moderator talk. That was the whole deal. That's why his mic wasn't working. No one wanted to hear him.
All right, the ads are over. Let's go ahead and start this match again. This is the final match. Fraternity taking it to 5 games. First time in at least a couple of years that we've seen a finals go to 5 matches.
What do we think about the comps?
Again,
I
Tuskers,
like Fraternity. I really like Fraternity's rush comp in this situation. It's something that, they haven't shown at all. So I think
speaking
it's
of
something that's
rush,
it's something you can't really predict them to bring. When everything's reset, you think they're going to go back to something that they're comfortable with, in this kind of setup. Tuskers,
they're going hard on that Proteus.
That just seems like they were hard committed to wanting to bring drones. Saw the EOS ban, said fuck it, we could work around it, and they chose a lot of weaker ships. So I think Tuskers made a little bit of a mistake in the sense of really trusting it, and they got a bad matchup, it looks like.
Going in hard, but that Proteus is holding, which I can't say for the Nosprey.
Damage drones on the Talia to get those reps split.
Mm-hmm. This is the problem with the rush comp. If you can't break that first target quick enough, you kind of lose. Look at all those drones chasing that Nosprey.
Something else pointed out in the channel came in and said, Tuskers did not bring their flagship. Tuskers had a flagship still that they could have brought.
Quick pause. Yeah, I still don't quite understand that. And if I get the chance to talk to them, this is a question I want to ask. I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on them, but I don't understand why you didn't bring it, or at least try to fit it in there.
You know what I think? I think Frat brought this comp hoping that they'd go against it and just be able to nuke any armored damaged drone setup that they were bringing. I think they predicted a drone setup based on the Get a Navy with what they brought, and then just got a weaker drone setup. Period.
Yeah. And while we have it paused, I also want to point out this excellent move by this Nosprey. So they clash right here in the center. Fraternity going all in on the Proteus, but Fraternity's Nosprey is getting aggressed real hard. He's out of shields. They do not have Logi worth a damn because he's just these worthless T1 frigates that are just placeholders. But he does an excellent job. He just books it in the opposite direction, dragging all these drones. And these are medium hammerheads. Or it's a mix of hammerheads and what? It was like infiltrators and hammerheads. So hammerheads are not the fastest drones you could have chosen for this. And I mean, he just saves his own bacon. He gets out of range here. And now the drones are being retasked. They've decided to go after the Logi since the drones are right there on top of it. But again, it's T1 frigate Logi. I don't think they care if it dies.
So wait, you know those two frigates that nobody cares about thing again? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they lose a Proteus for a burst. That's got to feel bad. And now
I mean, they made the decision to switch targets. You know,
take something while the drones are there, you know. But now the Osprey's recharging his shield and able to come back towards the fight. They've got the Myrmidon Navy locked down next, working on its tank. Now, it's up against Double Thalia. Double Thalia is pretty potent, but that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, that damage bar is almost to the end of the screen. You don't really see that very often, that the potential damage is like that deep.
And just Control-Alt-Delete that Myrmidon. Thalias are not saving that. Osprey is back in the fray, but oh god, they're shooting me again. Run away again. Look at him zoom. Look at that zoom. He's going how fast? Only 1,500. It looks like he's going faster, but he's like, nope, not time to come back in yet. But he keeps wasting their time. It's so awesome. Like, they'll chase him down for a minute and they realize they can't chase him, and then during that time they lose another Myrmidon. Tuskers' team just falling apart from top to bottom. I don't know if you guys know this, but drones stop working when you die. Just saying. Loki's tackled on Tuskers. Got to get something off this grid.
I think this was just Tuskers' fatigue. Like, they just were mentally spent and decided to bring a comp that they like or feel comfortable, and that is also like built, because you have to build the comps on TQ.
Exactly. I think I agreed what you said. They were like, we're sticking to this. We'll just work around this ban, and we'll put it on grid because, like, and what happens kind of thing. Like you said, there becomes a point where it's like that. But, you know, something I would be thinking, and, you know, I'm not in their spot, so I can't fucking say anything. But what I can say is I feel like it'd be like, guys, it's one more fucking match. One more and it's done. Let's put what we have left in. It's one match. And then we could, you know, leave with whatever comes out of it. But like you said, it is, I'm not in their shoes. And I'm sure they were feeling a lot of pressure. Are we going to throw a fucking, you know, 2-0 lead here? We got to fight back in some way. Our brains are killing us from this. You know, we've been sitting at this computer for blank hours straight, theory crafting for blank hours straight. You know, I'm sure they weren't. You know, I'm sure they were theory crafting all last night. They knew Truth Honor Light was their first match today, and they had to win. I'm sure they were watching footage. I'm sure they were planning for that extensively after yesterday.
Yeah, this is like straight 6 hours, because they played the first match and they pretty much played non-stop after the first match.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like 6 hours of playing, like extremely high pressure.
And Frat actually got a break between this match and their last match. Tuskers didn't, right?
So I feel like this is just exhaustion and fatigue. I don't know how much it affects the performance, but I feel like it did affect the decision making here, which is absolutely fair, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my interesting question. If Frat didn't ban the EOS,
Yeah.
do you think Tuskers wins? Because they faced a comp just like this earlier with the EOS, double EOS Proteus Ishtar setup, and won pretty well. You know what I mean? They did it against Truth Honor Light, mind you, with Truth Honor Light Shield Rush versus the double EOS Proteus Ishtar double Vexor Navy setup, and they won. Do you think if EOS was available, Tuskers brings that and has a chance?
Yes, because again, you're bringing T2 Galente against Kinetic, which is extremely good.
So close, yet so far. Final match, 100-1.
100-1. Mind you, that point being a T1 frigate logic kill. And with that said, your underdogs in Fraternity have won the Alliance Tournament 19 and taken home a handful of Alliance Tournament ships. So if you want to buy them, just message Fraternity.
Mm-hmm. Damn good job done by Fraternity. Mystic Mike, one of the casters, was a theory crafter for them, so big props to him, helping them work out this team. Again, this was Fabuki's first year as team captain, so another big shout out to Fabuki. You guys did fantastic. Tuskers too. Like you guys arguably had a worse time of it. Yeah, you had to face Truth, Honor, Light, and then just non-stop match, and at the end, one band choice seemed to just throw it all to shit.
Well, one band choice, and I think just
like I said, and I still want to know
some close matches, you know, and once again, such a close finals that I'm sure people are like, well, that one decision cost us the entire Alliance tournament at some point in that finals, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And all I say is don't let it eat you alive, because
every
single person has that happen, and just look to do better next year.
Yeah, second place is still a lot further than I got. And you still get a good chunk of ships as well. So it's not like Tuskers are walking away empty-handed. They're not getting as much as Frat, but they're still going to get some AT ships. They're going to get a bunch of those skin packs, you know. Oh my Lord, this was a really good AT tournament overall. We had a bunch of fire matches pretty much every single weekend, and what a way to finish.
I think the feeders, everybody going through the feeders is good. I don't like the fully random seeding. I think we need that's something to iterate on.
And what do you propose here though for that?
I don't know. That's why I said iterate.
This is what I thought originally, right? The way that they could have went about it, and this is weird, but how the feeders were structured this year. Mind you, the feeders get structured different every year, so it's kind of hard to have a set in stone thing. Mm-hmm. But what they could have done this year was, obviously the team that made it through the feeders with the most losses being snuffed out, ended up, they could have been deemed the 32nd place team and played Truth, Honor, Light match 1. And then the 3 teams that made it through in round 4 could have played the other top 4 teams, you know, Tuskers and whatnot, and they could have been seeded up against those, and then everyone else who made it through would have been people who made it through the feeders winning their first game, and then you draw for those.
Yeah, I would just like a less random than completely random seeding.
I think the only way you could do that was like how I said, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But don't forget, the way they used to do it was seeding was picked at random for everybody outside of the buy-ins, which was horrible. It was all seeded based on who spent the most money, which was even worse. Mm-hmm. I'd rather random seeding than, cool, you spent money, you get to be the 5th seed because you spent the most plucks.
But I like the idea that everybody goes through the feeders, because we had extremely high quality matches for most of the tournament.
Yeah. I will say I do like the top 4 thing, where the top 4 teams get the free bid. You know, I think that's fine, because I would hate to do the fucking, you get Truth, Honor, Light in the feeders. Like, you know, those teams are fine, and no one wants to fight them in the feeders. And I think that is a little bit of respect to, like, hey, you know, last year you guys did officially, you know.
I mean, being able to skip the feeders is just nice, because it's a lot less stress. My biggest, I guess, thing of feedback for this year's AT, please, no summer tournament ever again.
What was that?
Don't do tournaments in the summer?
Like, just no. It was too much.
You rather it later in the year, like it usually is?
Yeah, I don't know if I can. If the next AT is during the summer, I don't know if I can play. Like, it's just not feasible.
Because you want to touch grass?
No, because everybody else is touching grass, and it's like we had During the feeders, we had the second weekend. We had a match on Saturday. On Saturday afternoon is when we got confirmation that we actually have 10 players.
I got confirmation
imagine
like
the
3
sweating.
weeks in advance that we were gonna have 10 players.
Yeah.
But what sucked was like the week before the feeders, I did a weeknight scrimmage, which we tried to refrain from weeknight scrimmages as much as we could, because we're a multi-time zone team. So we only had 6 people show up for that scrimmage.
Yeah, it's like
So it was pretty trash. I multi-box battleships for an entire night, and I was like fuming inside because it was not good practice.
yeah, and like trying to get people to play, and it's summer, everybody's doing stuff with family, and you have your holidays, you have stuff.
Travel plans and vacations, and
It's
you
just
know,
it's just so much harder to
it is.
organize and do.
But one thing I hated was a few years back they did the fucking finals on Thanksgiving weekend for the United States people,
I
and
mean,
it
to be
was like
fair,
that was
the,
bad.
the first feeder weekend was on Finnish Midsummer, which means 80% of our team had to cancel the plans with their family.
We also had 4th of July, the second weekend of the feeders for the Americans.
Yeah.
So like
Forgive
it was
me.
not great either.
Let
Like
me
it was
get
4th of July.
Let me get a word
weekend,
in edgewise. Exclamation mark draw for a chance at a VedMax Scope Syndicate skin. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. I think that the later one isn't bad. They just need like the timing needs to be a little bit more consistent. Like I have no problem with them doing feeders in like September and AT in late October.
Yeah, I think that's
But
like
I
kind of
think that works out great. I also think something you might really like too is there is a very large distance between the feeders and the AT. And I understand why for scrum purposes and getting flagship written down on paper purposes. I think they could shrink it by 2 weeks.
yeah, I agree with that.
I think
Like
2
5
weeks is the
weeks
perfect time
yeah.
too. Because if you
Is
do
it 6
more,
or
you're getting
5?
rid of a lot of time.
Don't remember. Yeah,
So,
it's like we're looking at a 4-month commitment anyway. So,
did you see Ryload's meme video yet?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, 4 months of my life.
That's how I felt.
I wonder if I could show that.
Yeah, I mean, at least like us being eliminated in the feeders, it wasn't a 4-month commitment for everyone on my team except myself. So, and my commitment is worth it. I will leave it at that. But thank you, CCP, for this wonderful new microphone.
Yeah, I heard about that from J1tah.
Yeah. How is Chad's voice quality tonight, guys? For those of you who've been here for a minute.
Yeah, you haven't heard me. Unless you heard me casting early today, we got a new microphone sponsored by your wonderful CCP. But
it was very nice of them.
Yeah, they're really nice guys. It's really been nice, kind of memeing around in the background with them a little bit in those channels. They're human. Don't worry, they're really cool. But I really hope next year, like that, there's also a few changes. I really am a little disappointed with the flagship meta still. Like going into this year, I'm sick of seeing bar guests, and then this year, well, what do we see mainly again? Bar guests. I mean, next year we're gonna see We're gonna see Get Navies next year if it's a Mar. If it is going to be a Mar, which they never confirmed. So I don't think it will be anymore actually. But if it was, Get Navies would be outstandingly through the roof for flags. But I think they need to change it up a little bit, like unlock a few of those flagships that they put in the we're not allowed to be flagships anymore thing. Like unlock the Leshek. I have no problem with an officer fit Leshek, to be honest, because it's 25 fucking points.
And congratulations, Zot Rares. There you are. I need to know your in-game name so I know who to give this to.
I don't know how you feel about that, Cheetah, but I feel like if you want to run a flagship Widow, why can't you? You can't run the officer jams on it. That's not allowed with the restrictions to E-War anyways. So what's wrong with it? Rattlesnake, I understand for the passive rep. That thing is broken. But then just make it so passive rep mods can't be blinged. Then that's balanced. Then the Leshek's fine being 25 points and being, fit. The only ship that's questionable is the Bow,
FC,
Then
can I flagship Drake? No.
I would just say don't allow officer webs on the Balgorn, and that's fine.
Yeah, that would fix it. Because
Just restrict it only on the Balgorn. Only on the Balgorn, though. And make it so it's only officer, so you can run like a Federation web, but not an officer web.
Or a true Sansa.
Yeah. And whatever you do, don't bring Abyssals back, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Because I know of somebody who has a Maxwell Abyssal Tobas officer web, and they were planning to put it on a Balgorn the year that they fucking ruined the Balgorn, basically, and told no. Like, they got a Balgorn that has webs that go out to 60 kilometers. That's just unfair. So... But I would like to see more variations of flagships, you know? I think that would be a lot healthier for the meta to say, hey, you know what? This is the problem with this being a flagship. Let's not allow it on that flagship specifically. And just do that. It's a little more work, but I'd like to see more variety in the flagships. I also think that means people will be more willing to lose them, because this year we only lost 13 flagships out of the 32 teams.
And a lot of them were faction fate.
Yeah, Walmart flagships. Yeah. So I'd like to see a little bit more variety in the flagships. I think having the variety will encourage teams to field them more and build some more creative comps, you know, and I think that's healthy for the tournament scene. I really do.
Yeah, I would also like to see, like, I don't know how to explain this, like more player-friendly practices within the tournaments.
As in how?
I mean, all the stuff, like how long the day actually runs, and this is for the casters as well. Like, you basically sitting there for 6 hours a day, right?
I've not had scrims be that problematic.
No, I mean on the match days.
Oh, match days?
Yeah. How long is the broadcast? 6 hours?
Yes.
Yeah.
6 to 7 hours, and
Especially
question-
back-to-back matches are rough because you have to be online pretty much an hour before your match.
well, yeah, you gotta be. Here's the thing, you gotta remember, like day one, right? If we're gonna go through this a little bit, day one, only 6 teams had to play 2 matches, and it was only the first 3 teams, right, that would have had to have been there to start the day and to end the day. So they could have took a good, 4-hour break.
Yeah.
And still been there 2 hours early, you know, but they'd have been playing still for, you know, dedicated to the game for 4 hours of their day.
It was kind of leading to the 3-weekend thing. It used to be 3 weekends, and then they shortened it, which I think causes a lot of problems. Because it is a lot of stress.
It is a lot of stress, but
involved.
here's my question though.
But also 3 weekends is kind of problematic. I don't know.
I think it's problematic in a sense of here's another throw out there. The real problem is day 3 and 4 when it comes to that stress. Day 2, once again, I think people maximum only 2 matches, and none of them were like really back to back.
Yeah.
So day 1 and 2 are not an issue. It's day 3 and 4, right? And don't forget, day 4 is clearly it's only the finals, upper bracket finals, lower bracket finals, and 3rd, 4th place match.
Yeah.
There was only 10 matches today. You can't lower that number. So, you know, splitting day 3, you can't split day 3 into an entire new weekend. Is the deal. You could make it so there's no repeats on day 1 or day 2 and make that plus a little of day 3 into a day, and then split day 3 in half. But then you're going to be having like...
Could they not do it in a 3-day weekend? Just do it instead of 2 days?
That's
do it
horrible.
3 days.
That's horrible.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
So all of us have to take off our jobs on Friday to play in the
I don't
AT?
know. I'm just trying to throw one out there to avoid having to do it 2 weekends in a row.
Well, the issue with that comes down to be... You know what they could do? The solution could be really simple, actually. You have day 1, 2, 3, 4, but instead of day 1 being day 1, you have like a preliminary weekend, right? Where it's like the first round entirely And then the second weekend is what would be day 2 and day 3, but day 3 cuts off early, right? Like day 2 and day 3 get merged a little bit, so like there's only, instead of 18 or 19 matches on day 2 and 20 matches on day 3, you do 16 on day 2 and 16 on day 3, and then ship like what goes, like the matches that lead to the upper bracket final and the matches that lead to the fourth place match. You do those on like Saturday. And then you do the fourth place match on Saturday, and then you just do the finals, best of 3, all best of 3s on the Sunday. So you'd have you do a 5-day, so it'd be 3 weekends, but with one preliminary like day.
Yeah, but that again, it's a lot more work.
It is like you'd basically be making day 2 and 3, and one match on day 4 equal 3 days instead of 2, basically, and making day 1 its own separate like weekend entity.
Yeah,
But
I mean, like
I
3
don't
weekends
know.
is a lot more for the organizers to organize. Because
Also,
like 2 weekends
you also
is
have to commit. Well, here's the
Yeah.
other thing too. Don't forget. This all happens. Well, you could do remote for the first weekend, right? The issue I was going to bring originally was like, first weekend, if you had everyone go in person, you're committing all these casters, workers from CCP, college students in the background, like 40 plus people that are there in person. You're committing them to like half of a month of being there. Versus, I think if you get away with you could do like, if you did, like I said, a round 1, everyone's round 1 matches on one day, a weekend ahead, and just made it all remote because no one's eliminated at that point at all. I think you could get away with doing that all remotely and making it its own separate thing. And then you go to day 2, which is where eliminations are decided and the upper bracket move-ons are decided. Day 3 is where the next set of eliminations are set to see who gets their prize ships, and the upper bracket's setting up for the upper bracket finals, and then you go to the final weekend, which would be, the upper bracket finals being put together, the lower bracket finals being like set up officially. And then the last day is the upper bracket finals, lower bracket finals only, and then the actual finals. That'd be the best way to spread it and still keep things promising. But you then once again like have a weekend where the first weekend is one day instead of 2.
Yeah.
And like I said, that would all be remote because I'm sure CCP and workers wouldn't want to, listen, I know they all want to see each other, but I don't think everyone has, 20 days to 21 days to use at work or of life to just be spending money and over there.
Yeah, I think the 2 weekends thing is because you can commit for a week, like be there for a week physically, basically.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said,
the
like the first
weekends, yeah.
weekend just be remote. Well, they're there for 10 days usually on average, so
I don't know.
it's already
just
pretty heavy.
the summer thing was rough, but otherwise
I
I
agree.
really like this format we had.
You know
this
what?
year.
I'm really excited to see. I really hope they don't keep this feeders like it was. I was not actually the biggest fan of the feeders this year. I didn't like the one and done.
The first round is questionable because I mean there's a lot of problems with it. With a lot
I
of
liked
things
last
we
year's
didn't
feeders a
see.
lot, actually. I really liked like the group stages into a small bracket. Last year's feeders went like this: everyone was in a group of 3. You play round robin with that group of 3. Whoever is the worst, whoever O2's in the group, is out. Whoever 1-1's in the group is deemed second, and whoever 2-0's in the group is deemed first. And if you have a 1-1 tie with the whole group, they did a whoever brought the most Minmatar ships, because it was a Minmatar sponsored tournament, so you had a reason to bring Minmatar ships, would win the group, right? And then from there, you would go to you'd play the like there'd be an A group and a B group, so the A group would be 3, the B group would be 3. First place plays second in the other group, and second and first play from each group. Winners of those matches play each other for a spot in the AT. Losers go to redemption and play against each other. So it was a little more complicated, but there was a lot more like games to play, and it wasn't like a loss didn't absolutely kill you. You know what I mean? It put you on a hard as hell path. Like, there was a little bit of mercy, but at the same point, there was still a good grind to it, where it wasn't free. Like, I felt like this one was like, I hate to say it, but there was a lot of teams that were in there that just had an easy first match in the feeders against a 6-man team or something like that, and just got a free ride to the AT.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem with the one and done first round.
The win one and you're in.
Yeah.
You win one and you're in.
You might just get a easy opponent, so to speak, or like a 6-man team or somebody who just
every year
to try it.
Shut Up, I'm Trying has brought a underman team now 2 years in a row. You know what I mean? And I don't want to call it guaranteed wins, but that's the matchup you want. So you get drawn for them, you're jumping for joy. You know, teams drop out of the tournament and you're guaranteed a spot in the AT because a team dropped out. I'm sorry, that's just not really fair to everybody else. And you know what? Then just win your games, and I do get that argument, you know, and that's fair. But make there be a little bit more of a feeding happening. And I understand there's a lot of teams in the feeders, and you're trying to crowd it into one weekend, or 2 weekends, But you managed to get a lot of rounds in with the last feeders, so I hope next feeders is a little bit more. I like the group stages into certain elimination setup that they had. I think it's a little more healthy than you win, you're in.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of teams that got left out of the AT this year that were actually really good teams that probably were better than a good 6 teams that made the AT. I think the AT would have been even more spicy with those teams. But also, hey, you know, those teams that did make it got some practice, so hey, good for them. They got AT practice, even though they might not have done well.
All right.
I mean, yeah, it's like very
as
hard.
I end.
Hold up. Before we get into another tangent, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because we've been at it for like 3.5 hours, and I know Chad's got work here soon, so give him a little bit of a break. Again, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. I hope you enjoyed it. Me and Chad are I'm in the works of trying to get together a big recap of the entire tournament, feeders to finals, get some extra guest speakers to come on, talk about it more, you know, give Chad a chance to talk more about what he thinks needs to change for next year, especially about these flagships and stuff like that. So I don't have a date or time set for that. Just keep an eye on the Discord. I will let you guys know as soon as I know more. I'm going to go ahead and raid off just because I need to turn off the stream anyway so I can do the VOD. I'll probably be back in about 30 minutes or so. I got to run to the store and we'll do some PvP content.
And please do tournaments. I'm not going to rant about it again, but please, if you think you're interested,
go ahead and rant about it.
Fucking do it.
Rant about it because that's kind of the whole point is... Especially if you're PvP minded in this game. This is why I ultimately joined the AT tournament. Is ship knowledge is a big part of learning how to PvP in EVE, and there are very few environments that match the tournament scene in regards to just exposing you to all the different flavors of stuff you can come up against. And most of that knowledge does translate back to the real server. You know, even if you're just scrimmaging with your team, you know, you'll learn what the ships do, and when you come across that ship in the real game, you'll be like, oh, I know what this does now, I need to avoid it, or, oh, I know what this does, I can totally take it, and you take the fight that you may have not taken.
You know how to counter things, too, really well. You know what you need to fight things like that. You know what you don't want to be in when you fight things like that. And also, you learn comms better, you learn tricks about the ships you're flying better, you feel more comfortable as well with the people you're around. There's a lot to it. So do it. Just do it.
It's a very worthwhile experience, you know, even if you're just, you know, that you're not starting and actually on grid when the live tournament hits, you know, being part of the team and scrimmaging with them is its own reward, you know, and you stick with the team, you know, and the team makes it far. Maybe you get a kickback from that. I know I'm getting a couple of these skin packs and I never saw the grid on a match that mattered.
Dude, you saw 2 matches. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but they were the pseudo exhibition matches. Speaking of which,
only one of them was. What are you talking about?
Didn't I get to fly versus the 6-man comp with nothing but where they didn't even take 40 points? Like they were already, like you let me get on grid for that fight.
True.
I call that an exhibition match. But anyway, before we go, I do want to share my favorite moment of the entire AT. Chad will know this. This is my favorite moment.
Oh no, not this shit again.
We got this.
Yeah! 1v1 me at the sun!
1v1 me at the sun.
Alright.
Will forever be the battle cry of this AT.
You know, that Ryload meme video though was fucking hilarious.
Do you have the link for that? I want to show that real fast.
Yeah, I got the link for that.
Ryload, all credits to you. Don't DCMA me, but
No,
I don't know what the rules are.
No,
Counts as
Ryload's
reaction
chill
content,
as
right?
fuck. It's I'm about to send it on Discord to you.
Okay.
So for anyone who
guys
doesn't know, Ryload is a very popular YouTuber, very old school YouTuber, been around for a long time, part of the Volta team. He's their Logi pilot, ex-CSM member, and used to make Zeke Gill guides. Yes, he has vulgar taste, but you know, so this was the match that we saw Volta be eliminated to a like max threat style, and he's flying the very beautiful beautiful Guardian. And well, take it away.
Oh, poor
And the name of
Ryload.
the video is, quote, 4 months of my fucking life. Dude spends that much time trying to be the best, you know, and gets headshot by a bunch of beams and rails. R.I.P. to one of the greatest Logi pilots ever.
Okay.
I mean, that's just the life of a tournament pilot. You spend fucking 6 to 4 months, or 4 to 6 months practicing, and then you go 1 and 2 in the tournament, and they just want to go outside and touch grass.
Dude, and it was really funny too, because the comments were like, "Oh my gosh, you're back," because he hardly ever posts anymore. And at turnaround, people were making funny weeb comments about, because they lost to Fraternity, by the way. So everyone was making weeb comments. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I like, after the tournament, you just kind of feel that you don't want to open Eve for like 2 months. Straight
No,
up.
you know, and that's something else, you know, as well. I notice is when a lot of people will just not play the game after their tournament runs. Like if you look at Tuskers, Marichiv doesn't play unless it's tournaments basically anymore. You didn't Ghosty, is Cam still streaming?
Yeah, we're still streaming. I just got the raid ready.
Okay.
We're going to be raiding off into code
cool.
26 here in a few seconds. But get your final words in. Final thoughts.
No. I know a lot of people just don't play after because, you know, there's a lot of grind to tournaments. So note that if you try to join tournaments, it will hard.
I think I slept for like 18 hours straight after we dropped out. Just like all the
we
stress
lost,
was
and then I
just
had to come here
relieved.
and break down all our losses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I kind of had to do that as well with you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the raid's about to hit. I will be back in like 30 minutes to an hour, guys.